The 10-year Treasury yield climbed to 4.27% from 4.23% late Friday. When bonds are paying more in interest, investors are less willing to pay high prices for stocks. Big tech companies also pulled in the markets. Nvidia fell almost 2% amid concerns about its valuation. Amazon and Alphabet also dropped over 1% each. Tuesday was also the first opportunity for trading after a federal appeals court ruled late Friday that President Trump overstepped his legal authority when announcing sweeping tariffs on countries. Kraft Heinz fell 7% after announcing that it is splitting in two. McDonald's says it's cutting prices on some combo meals to try and woo back some customers. Chuck Severson, ABC News.
Not looking too bad on the futures market this morning. The Dow futures are down, but just 7 points. The Nasdaq futures losing make that the Nasdaq futures are gaining 164. The S&P futures, they're up 30 points this morning. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. All right, the major roads, they're looking pretty good this morning, with the exception of 40 heading westbound out by the airport. Looks like that's just because of the construction delays in that area. Not really any volume delays. Otherwise, looking good this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? How are you? Hey, everybody, Joan's back.
Hi.
Joan?
Yes.
Everybody missed you.
Aw, that's so kind.
Especially Sam, who was like, when can I get back behind the board? Although Sam did a great job. You trained him
Of course
well.
he did. Yes.
In doing the news. And but now the team is all back in their proper places.
The band's all back together
The
again.
band is all back together. So I'm glad that you're back, Joan, and I'm glad that you're back
Did you
behind
break anything
the board
while I was
well.
gone?
That's what I should ask you, actually. So no, but since you've been gone, we have, of course, the TV is here.
And it looks really nice too.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did for you? I got you a bigger, nicer TV.
I don't know if it's bigger. I'm not even sure if it's nicer, but whatever. It seems to do the job well, and that's all that matters to us, right?
That's right.
All right, anyway. Hey, can I tell you what my favorite story of the day is?
Okay.
Donald Trump killing 11 Venezuelans.
Yeah.
Now, is it so wrong that is my favorite story?
I don't think so.
I don't understand why people, as a matter of fact, we must be on CNN in here because I saw the headline, a dangerous escalation. That's what they're saying this was, a dangerous escalation. No, it's not. He killed a bunch of gang members. Now, if it turns out, that this was like, a family on a little boating trip, then we might have a different conversation. Like Joe Biden. Remember when Biden said, hey, we got the terrorists. And then it turns out to be like a family of like 12. They're getting ready to go on a family picnic. And we just torched them. So I don't think, though, that this is going to be that because you've got, Trump and Marco Rubio, and they firmly believe that they got, and in case you don't know what we're talking about, there is a story out there today where the president took out a Venezuelan drug boat, and it's really a great story because you watch the video, and the boat is just absolutely obliterated, and it's good to see because on the boat, apparently they say, were a lot of drugs and 11 Venezuelan gang members as well, and so what we're going to do is. Can I just say the hardest part of doing the show in the other studio is getting set up in just a few moments, and I'm not completely set up. Here we go, though. So this was Donald Trump talking about this boat that they just absolutely epically destroyed. And the video shows it's like a speedboat, and they say that there's probably drugs on it. They know that there were 11 Venezuelan gang members, they say, on the boat, and it just gets obliterated. Goes up in flames. You can see the flames and everything. Need some video. This is Donald Trump talking about just that.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. Mm-hmm. And you'll be seeing that, and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago, and our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. Yep. And we just, these came out of Venezuela. And coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over.
So you can find the video of Donald Trump torching that Venezuelan drug boat on my X feed at Dan Mandis Show. The thing that I thought was interesting is Donald Trump says a lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. Is there anything good that's coming out of Venezuela?
Gasoline.
Yeah, gasoline, sure, I guess. Yeah, that's true. Gasoline. They got a lot of oil there in Venezuela. But I don't understand why they're calling this a dangerous escalation. Because all the president did was torch a bunch of gang members and a bunch of, illegal drugs.
He's also alleged, and I had the story yesterday, that Maduro, the president, who, there was protests on his third term, if you can give the U.S. government proof to convict this guy, you get a $50 million reward.
Nice. Here's what they say. This is from the Associated Press. The United States conducted a deadly military strike against an alleged drug boat tied to the cartel Tren de Aragua. This was on Tuesday, of course. The president said 11 people were killed in the strike in international waters. Secretary of State Marco Rubio describing the lethal strike as taking place in the southern Caribbean against a drug vessel which had departed from Venezuela. Now, this is the part that I don't, maybe it's because I'm not politically minded, but I don't understand how this is being considered a significant escalation. I mean, don't we have a right to defend ourselves? And this is the United States defending ourselves against these drug cartels and illegal drugs coming into our country and a bunch of gang members coming into our country as well. So I welcome the escalation. I think we ought to take out more of these guys, to be honest with you. This is what President Trump said on True Social. Earlier this morning, on my orders, U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists in the Southcom Area of Responsibility. TDA is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, trafficking, sex trafficking, and acts of violence and terror across the United States and the Western Hemisphere, said Donald Trump in a post. So again, I welcome the escalation. And I love the final sentence where he says, please let this serve as notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs into the United States. Beware. And I think basically what the president is saying is there's a lot more where that came from. So now the question is this. You think Maduro will still be sending his, his gang members? Do you think that he's still going to try to sneak drugs in via boat? Because look how well it worked out for them, yesterday. It didn't work out well for them at all.
I think it'll take a few more, acts of this before the lesson sticks.
How'd you like to be the guy that they try to recruit for the next boat ride? Like, no, that's okay.
And no one's talking about how much money this is potentially saving the country from, there's probably millions of dollars worth of drugs on a skiff that size.
Yep.
And we're talking overdoses, hospital bills, the things that would be happening, the people's lives that would be lost with those drugs coming into the country. And all it took was one missile. And we're done.
But isn't that what Donald Trump keeps trying to do?
Yeah.
What Donald Trump is trying to do, whether we're talking about Washington, D.C., whether we're talking about Chicago, whatever, what Donald Trump is trying to do is he's trying to stop crime in its tracks, whether it is, we're going to put the National Guard on the streets of Washington, D.C., so the crimes don't get committed. We want to put them in Chicago and other cities as well, so crimes don't get committed. That's number one. Then you look at, this situation with Venezuela. It's much easier to disintegrate the problem before it even gets here, as opposed to once they get here, then we arrest them. We've got to decide what to do with them. The drugs have already made it into the marketplace, and possibly people have died, so on and so forth. Not to mention, as you said, Sam, the cost of dealing with all of this from a legal situation. So I think Donald Trump is doing absolutely the right thing. This is Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
The president is going to be on offense against drug cartels and drug trafficking in the United States. It destabilizes not just the country, but the entire Caribbean basin. These particular drugs were probably headed to Trinidad or some other country in the Caribbean, at which point they just contribute to the instability these countries are facing. So the president's been very clear that he's going to use the full power of America and the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels, no matter where they're operating from and no matter how long they've been able to act with impunity. Those days are over. The president.
All right, so that is Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. And I love that Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, no apologies. No apologies. So if CNN, and it is on CNN, because I didn't see what channel it was on, but when they said, Joan, it's a dangerous escalation, it had to be CNN.
Of course. And, well, I actually heard it on ABC News coming in this morning.
Did they say it was a dangerous escalation, too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder how long it'll take the ACLU to file a lawsuit against the president for taking care of this.
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, he's really pushing them to insanity. They've lost their ever-loving minds.
They're going to come out. I guarantee you the Democrats are going to come out and they're going to be like, I don't know, they'll have a Tren de Aragua tattoo somewhere on their body and to show their solidarity with Tren de Aragua.
Yes.
They'll have All right, I'm just going to get dumb now. So how long before the Democrats have like 11 golden caskets in memory, kind of like they did with George Floyd?
Lining the steps of the Capitol.
Lining the steps of the Capitol. And then they'll take the caskets, just like they did with George Floyd, and they'll take the caskets to like 15 different states. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that I can just see the Democrats doing.
They're going to put the flag of Venezuela around their shoulders and take a knee on the Capitol steps.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be wearing the flag like a cape.
Yep.
Whatever. Have we done traffic yet? No traffic.
There's nothing going on.
Nothing going on?
There you go. There's your traffic
Well,
report.
I do need the separation because I'm going to move into another thing. So
okay. Here we go. There is one thing happening.
Okay, it is 5:18. Time to check the roads on WTN.
And that one thing happening is construction work. It's in Jolton. It's on the eastbound side of 24 at Whites Creek Pike. They're exit 35 there. They're saying that this should be wrapping up very soon, so it won't be causing much of a problem. But there may be delays on 40 westbound as you approach the Nashville International Airport area. Again, that's construction as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 5:18. On Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did you give me the weather? Do I have my weather in here? See, I'm all screwed up.
I can tell you what it is.
Here it is, Joan. Thank you.
You just go for it.
Intervals of cloud and sun with a thunderstorm possible with a high of 84, feeling like 90, 55% chance of showers. That's what's going on. That's the way a professional does it.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Dan is marathoning it this week, covering for Eric and Gary on Red Eye.
And I'm usually
Excuses
fine.
for him.
The problem is getting in here and getting all. I'll take all the excuses I need, Joan. Thank you. Sam, you get a raise. Joan, it's going to come out of your paycheck.
So happy I'm back.
I am.
Yeah.
But no, the problem is getting set up from in the network studio into here, and it just takes me a minute to get myself all situated. But I believe that now I am indeed situated. Did you hear that caller, Jeff, on Red Eye?
You bodied that man.
That dude was a frickin' idiot. Oh, my God. And I'm sitting there and I'm like...
Oh, Joan, it was amazing.
He tried to, and I shouldn't, for people that missed it, you can go catch it on the podcast on Red Eye, but it was like, I've never seen somebody make so many excuses for criminals in my entire life. And it was like, well, they're turning to a life of crime because they live in poverty. Well, if they went out and get a job, they wouldn't be in poverty. You know, it's like everything that I said to the guy, he made excuses for the criminals. And then, do you know what made me really mad, though? So you heard the call, Sam. Do you know what made me really mad about Jeff from Idaho Springs, Idaho?
The police state comment?
No.
Oh.
Do you know what it is? He called me bro.
Oh, yeah.
and that just angered me. It's like, I'm not your bro. Because he meant it in a really mean, nasty way. But it's like...
Condescending way.
It's condescending.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I thought you conservatives were against a police state, bro.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't really define, I thought, what a police state was. I mean, obviously... what is happening in Washington, D.C., and I've said this many times, is you have cops who are walking the streets to prevent crime and to arrest people that commit crimes. And the people of Washington, D.C., it's the exact opposite of a police state. People in D.C. are excited for their freedom because they can walk outside.
Did you not have a clip a week or two ago when this first started of a guy smoking a joint on his front porch, and the cop comes up and goes, hey, man, just take that inside.
Just go inside, man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's not a police state.
No, that's not even close to a police state. So anyway, I think by the end of the call with Jeff on Red Eye, I think that I disabused him of the notion that Donald Trump is trying to, start a police state and, this whole nonsense about, people turn to a life of crime because they're in poverty. No, I think people that, turn to a life of crime more often than not, it's because they don't have parents or father in the house to teach them the right way to live and to respect laws and to respect law enforcement. And by the way, get your ass out there and get a job and start working at 16. Go work for I don't know, a grocery store or whatever.
Deliver newspapers.
Deliver newspaper. Well, I don't think they do.
I think all teenagers should be mandated to serve tables in a restaurant. That's character building right there.
Boy, it sure is character building. I never had to do that, which is why I have no character. I'm just kidding. You know, Joan did that. Joan was a server. Were you were a server there, Sam?
When you are an assistant manager at the Waffle House, you have to.
That's right.
Fill a number of roles.
Okay, very good. So yeah, I lasted about a month at the only restaurant that I ever worked at, and it was kind of a walk in and get your food and sit down kind of a place. So yeah, I never had to. I never had to actually serve people, but I am told that it is indeed a character builder. It is a 5:23 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Joan Jones has the news at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, we'll tell you what's in the Jeffrey Epstein files released to the public. Also, Confederate General Robert E. Lee is making a comeback. Those stories and more up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
529, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love this. So, truth and memes, right? I'm going to post this. But it's a picture of a very old-looking Nancy Pelosi, which means it's a picture of Nancy Pelosi. And it says, Dems say mail-in ballot ban will place undue hardship on dead voters. It's true. We know how the Democrats are, so I'm going to go ahead and post that. You heard that High Pants Jerry, right?
Penguin.
The penguin. I call him High Pants, Jerry High Pants. I've never seen a man with pants above his belly button. It is so bizarre. But anyway, he has now announced that he is not going to run for re-election. And do you know who they're talking about is contemplating a serious run? Do you know, Joan?
No, I haven't heard this.
Sam, do you know? If you know, don't say it. But do you know?
No.
Chelsea Clinton.
What? What?
Chelsea Clinton is considering running for High Pants Jerry's congressional seat.
Got to keep, feeding that fund.
You sure do, don't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, Joan has the news coming up right now on Super Talk.
Good morning. It's now 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The House Oversight Committee releasing tens of thousands of records related to Jeffrey Epstein now being uploaded to an online site. And today, some of the victims will hold a press conference with a bipartisan group of lawmakers. ABC's Christiane Cordero.
Many will be breaking their silence for the first time to demand the release of the Epstein files. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee yesterday released more than 33,000 pages of Epstein documents. Democrats note most of the information in the 33,000 pages was already public.
The files include court documents, flight records, and a video of Epstein's cell block from before his death that does include that minute missing from earlier videos. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti filing an appeal after a panel of judges overturned a couple of gun laws last week. Here's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
One was a ban on guns in public parks, and the other was a law against carrying a gun with the intent to go armed. The AG argues that they, in fact, are constitutional.
AG Skrmetti is saying that the ruling goes too far. And Robert E. Lee has been returned to West Point. A portrait of Lee dressed in his Confederate uniform was restored to the school's library after being ripped out during the Biden administration in its quest to, quote, address racial injustice. There are also plans to restore a bust of Lee that had been removed from a plaza at the U.S. Military Academy. That is the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looks like they're still picking up the road work on 24 eastbound at Whites Creek Pike in Joelton this morning, and that may be causing some delays. I'm seeing just some minor delays, volume on 24 westbound after Laverne, and otherwise you're looking pretty good so far. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. It is Wednesday, Hump Day, September 3rd of 2025. You know that whole, you guys remember, did I mention this? We introduced young Riker to the camel, the Hump Day camel.
Okay.
And oh my goodness gracious.
Did he like it? Did he think it was funny?
That kid, I have not seen him laugh so hard as when we just showed him the stupid Hump Day camel.
We used to make great commercials in this country.
We did. What happened?
Do you remember the free credit report ones?
No,
Shopping
I don't.
for a new car, which one's me? A new convertible or no?
No, actually, I don't. I don't remember that. But no, but I remember. You know, there's things that we all grew up with. Like, for example, the other one that we played for the youngling is "I'll kill you," Jeff Dunham, and the what do you call that guy?
Ahmed the dead terrorist.
Ahmed the dead terrorist.
Ahmed the dead.
Ahmed the dead terrorist. Oh my God! I mean, he just he did. He thought it was
quick.
Absolutely. And I never really watched a Jeff Dunham with Ahmed the terrorist. I never really seen it. It'd come up on the show every once in a while, but we were stuck on a long drive. And so we started just looking up stupid crap on our phones. And it was incredibly funny.
We saw him last year here in Tennessee, in Nashville.
Jeff Dunham?
Yeah, last year. I think, it was last year, last winter.
Okay.
He's funny. If you get to see him, he's a blast.
He can just the talent alone. People in this day and age want to cancel him on the accents and the stuff he's covering, but like he can go from Ahmed to Peanut to Walter.
Oh, it is incredible.
Yeah, he's
Jose
really
Jalapeno on a stick.
On a stick. Yes, he's really good.
Well, I think that there are so many things that are really funny that kids just, because they're so stuck in their games and everything, that they don't have, I don't know what it is, the inspiration or the want to see what their parents thought was funny. And if they just give it a shot, they would find it hysterical. To try to get my kids, for example, to watch Robin Williams and Mork and Mindy, they wouldn't do it. Just because it was something that I watched when I grew up. It's like, guys, you have no idea how funny this is. Would not watch it. Irritated the living crap out of me, as a matter of fact. Because that was the funniest thing we watched when we were growing up. Mine was, I remember specifically when I was a kid. Sam, did you ever watch Mork and Mindy?
I've seen some reruns, yeah.
All right, Joan.
Nanu.
Did you watch Mork and Mindy, Joan?
Nanu.
Oh, very good. Nanu. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
I remember specifically, then I'll get to some serious stuff. But do you remember the scene where he had an egg and he threw it up in the air and he said, "Fly, be free," thinking a bird was going to come out of it, and it plopped down onto the table?
Yeah.
I remember as a kid laughing so hard at that. And Robin Williams was just, he was incredible. And he is obviously very much missed. All right. Couple of things, just real quick. Did you hear the story or see the story, Joan, of Donald Trump trolling Xi Jinping? Do you see that story?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this was overnight, and Xi Jinping, the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, okay? And Xi Jinping has Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un at the military parade in China. So they intentionally have, obviously Xi Jinping, and he invites two of our arch enemies, Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un, to watch the military parade. And so clearly President Trump finds this as, some sort of what's the right way to put this? Some sort of an affront. And so Donald Trump posts on Truth Social this quote from the president, asking Xi Jinping to please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. You got to love Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know. Some people are saying that, this is whatever they say about Donald Trump. It's not presidential or whatever it is. I think this is a hoot. I do, because I think that anytime that you can keep either, a Xi Jinping or a Vladimir Putin or, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, anytime you can keep them on their toes, you need to do it. And so people are freaking out because, again, why do I keep hearing, when it comes to Donald Trump, why do I keep hearing everything is an escalation with Donald Trump? It's not an escalation. What he's trying to do is keep other world leaders on their toes. He questioned whether Xi Jinping, will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Now, if you heard me talking about this on Red Eye Radio, I apologize. But I love that he does this. Trump's talking, of course, about World War II, where we fought against Japan as they were invading China way back, again, in World War II that ran from 1937 to 1945. And yes, I did have to look that up. Many Americans, they say, Donald Trump said, many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. He says, I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. And no shocker here, Xi Jinping did not mention the fact that America helped them gain their independence, if you will, from Japan by defeating not only Japan, but also Italy and Germany in World War II, along with the Allies. So, and I must have missed this. Sam, did you see this? Because there is some comedic fodder here. Apparently yesterday, India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, was seen holding hands with Vladimir Putin. Did you see that?
I had that in the story about the three of them getting together.
Why are they holding hands? That's a little weird.
Because I guess the Western liberals are going to love it. They think that they're going to be standing in solidarity against Donald Trump, just like they are.
Isn't that normal in some parts of the world?
What, you mean like San Francisco?
No. Well,
men holding hands. I'm sorry. I'm just...
Yes. No, I mean...
France?
No. Is it? I think it's the Middle East.
Oh, I have no idea.
I would say culturally around here, when we pray, we hold hands, but I doubt that's what they
true.
were doing.
I'm reasonably certain they weren't praying. So anyway,
Middle East and parts of Africa, men commonly hold hands or walk arm in arm, and no one bats an eye. It's seen as brotherhood, not romance.
Sam, as much as I like you, I'm never going to try to hold your hand.
If you did, I would hit you.
And Joan, don't worry. I'm not going to try to hold your hand either.
Okay.
Just don't try to hold mine.
Only if you're about to, if your life's in danger and it depends on making contact with my palm.
Hey, speaking of which, Joan, have you seen Cory Booker's wedding photos? Engagement photos?
Engagement photos, yes.
Oh, my God. It is so cringy. So go to my X feed at Dan Mandis Show, and you'll see these photos. They're right at the top. It is so cringy. And my comment was that it looks like they're trying too hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Now, there's always been those rumors about Cory Booker.
What
and
kind of
this
rumors,
woman is a
Dan?
beard.
That this woman is a beard for Cory Booker because he's going to run for president. You folks know what a beard is? We've gone through this before, and I hate talking about
Because
this.
the last time he ran for president, he also had, it was an actress. What was her name?
I have no idea. I think it's the same girl. Isn't it the same woman? I don't know. But describe these photos, Joan, because it's like
Over the
he's
top.
Over the top.
Yeah.
He's laughing. He's got his, his face up to the sky because he's laughing so hard. He's carrying his, his significant other. And it just looks so staged. You said something interesting off the air, Sam. Repeat what you said off the air to me on the air.
So as someone who's studied photography and videography, it's got to be like I've taken engagement photos and of myself and other people, so I get it. But out of the 4 that were shared in this little collage, they're just beyond staged. I mean, it's remarkable. The bottom right one especially, nobody laughs like that about being engaged.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody.
They're more longingly looking into each other's eyes normally, right?
Yes.
About how beautiful the moment is. This is Alexis Lewis is her name. The person that he was dating the last time he ran for president was Rosario Dawson.
Who they both look very similar.
Yes, they do.
Rosario
do.
Dawson?
And this woman,
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Alexis Lewis.
I might be slow. I thought you were saying that Rosario Dawson and Cory Booker looked alike.
No.
I was going to say.
She's pretty. He's not.
Nope. So anyway, yeah. So go to my X feed at Dan Mandis Show and check out these photos. And I wasn't sure if I was even going to bring this up, but I mentioned it to the Red Eye Radio guys, and I'm like, is it just me? Because, for me, I always have these opinions and these sort of thoughts on things. And I always wonder, is it just me? But the second I mentioned it to the producers at Red Eye, they were like, oh, my gosh. Those things are way, and I mean way over the top. So check them out. And I think they are trying too hard.
Way too hard.
I think there's something going on there that is not real.
Are we supposed to believe that he's proposing in one photo and then the rest of them, those are all authentic after the fact? I proposed in Yellowstone, had a beautiful backdrop. If it's authentic, she's crying. She's not paying attention to how she's behaving.
Right.
And she's not going to be able to compose herself for a few minutes because she just got proposed to. In this instance, especially the one with the hair swooshing.
Oh, the hair swooshing one.
I can't buy that this was proposal followed by surprise photo shoot. Totally staged.
Joan, how did your husband propose to you? So Sam did it at Yellowstone.
Yes, Artist Point.
All right, very nice. All right, that's classy. What did the perfect John do for you, Joan?
It was perfect. He proposed. We got a horse-drawn carriage in Philadelphia, and he proposed to me in front of the Methodist Church. I forget what street it is in Philly, but it was a beautiful evening. We had gone to dinner, and then he proposed after dinner.
Was it Christmas time and snowing?
It was not. No. It would have been even more perfect.
Okay,
yeah.
now, Joan, did you know that he was going to propose?
I did. I called my mom right before it and said, Mom, tonight's the night. She's like, you're not supposed to know that, and you're not supposed to tell me.
All right. Sam, did your betrothed know?
No.
Okay, so it was a surprise.
We were on a family trip with my folks. Basically, we were supposed to go, the 5 of us, and my sister couldn't go, so my wife took her spot, took her ticket, and I went ahead and just kind of spur of the moment, had the money, went and bought the ring, stuffed it. I had it stuffed in a double pair of socks in the backpack to hike through the park with, and I was like, if you need anything out of the backpack, ask me. She's like, why? And I'm like, because you shouldn't have to get stuff out of the backpack.
Aw. Did she buy that?
She did. She was completely thrown off, completely surprised.
I would not have bought that.
Only time in my life I've been able to keep a secret from her. Every other time, like when Christmas rolls around, I'm like, you want to know what you got?
By the way, Big O wants to know, what is a beard, please? So basically a beard is somebody who is gay, but a public person, and they don't want people to know that they're gay, so they get a beard that is someone who is of the opposite sex to sort of pretend like they're together. Right, Joan?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a beard.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if Cory Booker's gay or not. There's always been these rumors where I have no idea. And trust me when I say I don't care. But that's what the rumor is. Do you know how I proposed to Amy? Some people know this story. Some people don't. Total surprise. Christmas, one year. Do you know when I proposed to Amy? It was the day of the Christmas Day bombing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
What
what an explosive engagement.
It was Christmas Day, and the bombing happens. So I'm on the air for like 5 hours with Brian Wilson, knowing that later on in the day, I'm going to propose to Amy in front of her entire family who are together for Christmas Day. And so I gave Amy a custom blanket. The blanket was a picture of me down on one knee with the ring that said, "Will you marry me?"
Aw, that's cute.
So I said, "Oh, this is, Merry Christmas, and, here you go, and this is your Christmas gift." And I opened it up, and it said, "Will you marry me?" on it. And she immediately just like, I'm getting all misty-eyed, doggone it. Anyway, she amazingly enough said yes. Here's the funny thing about that, and I know I've said this before. I went over to Brian Wilson's house to take the picture to have the blanket made. I had no idea that I had a little zit on my face.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was so upset because I'm looking at the blanket afterwards and I'm like, oh, my God, there's a zit. I got a zit. And nobody told me. Brian didn't tell me when I was taking said picture at his house. And my friends,
with friends like that,
my friends who got the blanket done didn't tell me I had a little zit, and then I didn't see it till after the whole thing was over. And yet she married me. And still, at the age of 57, I'm still getting acne. I don't understand it.
Gotta stop being so stressed, man.
Life is so unfair. Anyway, it is 5:53 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. So I don't know. Whose marriage proposal was the best? Mine, Sam's, or Jones? Now, Sam, this is where you learn that anytime we go up against Joan for anything, she wins.
I have a video, just saying.
I've got a video, too. Joan, do you have a video of that marriage proposal?
Cheesy guy videos his proposal like that.
I didn't need to video it because Amy's entire family was, because everybody knew except for Amy.
Yeah.
So that leaves Sam being the cheesy guy that videoed the engagement.
Cheesy.
Cheesy.
I'm happy. That's what matters.
All right. Joan, what's coming up in the news?
Well, President Trump takes action against Tren de Aragua, and a federal court takes action against the president. Stick around for that and more coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 897. Joan, Sam, you want to hear what 5203 says?
Sure.
He says, Dan, I'm gay, and I can assure you Cory Booker is definitely a friend of Dorothy.
Oh.
I've never heard that term, friend of Dorothy.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Well,
Sam, you must know. Is that a thing?
I want to be accurate. Give me a sec.
Okay. I mean, obviously,
The Wizard of Oz is very much has a large following of gay people.
Okay.
Yep.
Why? Why does it?
I don't know. I have gay friends that's a thing for them.
Like The Wizard of Oz is a movie that is popular with the gay crowd?
Yes.
Why?
There's
Not
some
sure.
singing and dancing and color coordination.
Yeah.
Little people?
Little.
I don't know why I said that.
I don't know why you
know
said
what?
that either, but man.
5203, if you're still listening, why is The Wizard of Oz a big movie for the gay population? Because I have no idea.
It's an allegory for coming out if you start to go down the hyper-creative thought process.
No, it's not. Is it?
That's just
an
immediately
allegory
becomes
for coming out?
She leaves one place and goes to another. So like if that's your
She goes down the yellow brick road, but then she eventually goes back.
and all is right.
Maybe it's the man hiding behind the curtain thing.
Ooh. Maybe that's what it is.
Right? He was exposed.
Anyway, we got to go 6 o'clock on WTN.
Well, hello there, 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a warm up in our forecast and maybe some rain showers, too. Stick around for the forecast coming up right after the news. 11 Tren de Aragua gang members on board a drug-carrying vessel are dead. They were the target of a U.S. airstrike. ABC's Lionel Moisey.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, heading to Mexico and Ecuador to focus on immigration and crime, was asked whether more attacks like this are expected.
No one should be surprised. That's why they're there on a counter-drug mission, and they're going to continue to operate. As far as specifics and future operations, I have to refer you to the Pentagon on that.
Observers saying the move could be an attempt to undermine Maduro's regime, hurting profits from the drug trade.
And in fact, Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro has threatened to respond with an armed fight. A federal appeals court has ruled against President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act, which allows the president to remove citizens of any enemy country during an invasion or predatory incursion. The court finding that there is no invasion or predatory incursion despite the drugs coming across the border. The Trump administration has already deported hundreds of accused Tren de Aragua gang members earlier this year, sending some of them to Supermax prison in El Salvador. Country music fans have something to check out this fall. It's a corn maze that celebrates Lainey Wilson.
Featuring yours truly. So get ready for a whirlwind of fun and come on out to the farm and get a little lost in the maze with your friends and your family.
Yeah, that tribute corn maze is set to open on September 27th at the Honeysuckle Hill Farm in Springfield. You can see what that corn maze will look like. I just posted a photo of it to my X account at Joan Jones WTN. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Dave Packer.
Morning data will give investors a sense of where the economy is headed, including July factory orders and job openings. A judge has ruled Google has a browser monopoly. Tuesday's remedy was a best-case outcome for the search giant. Despite what the Justice Department had been arguing for, Google will not have to sell off major products like the Chrome web browser. Google instead will have to share some of the data it collects on searches with qualified competitors. Google will also face limits on how much money it spends on deals to make Chrome the default search engine on many computers and phones. A decade after a merger created one of the biggest food companies in the world, Kraft Heinz is splitting into two companies. Net revenue for the combined company has fallen every year since 2020. Uber is shifting gears, teaming with Best Buy to deliver a range of consumer electronics, appliances, and tech gear to consumers. On-demand delivery or scheduled drop-off will be an option on the Uber Eats platform. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Stock futures this morning, all on the plus side. The Dow futures are just up 1, though. The NASDAQ futures gaining 164. The S&P futures, they're up 31 points. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. All right, coming in on 24 westbound already, some problems. Got a crash in Antioch this morning. It's just past the Blue Hole Road overpass. The left lane is blocked off and a big backup behind it. Also, construction work on 24, the eastbound side. This is in Jolton at Whites Creek Pike. Now, we've been saying that the plan was to pick up that construction, but apparently a crash has happened in the backup behind it. So now it's stop and go from Harper Road overpass up to that site this morning and a big delay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, sometimes I feel like there is no depth low enough for the Democrats. Now, you know all about Donald Trump. We told you about this yesterday over the Labor Day weekend. Yet all these people that are out there wishing and hoping and praying that Donald Trump was dead, including one Tim Walz.
You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
I mean, that is so disgusting. Tim Walz, and he is getting ripped, I mean, absolutely crucified on social media, at least by people who are either independent or conservative or Republican. But here you have a politician where he is hoping for, and openly saying this, hoping for the death of the president of the United States. And what's crazy about this story is that the people that are there at this particular event, they're laughing. And so when I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, are you really saying, doggone it, I was hoping Donald Trump was dead? I mean, obviously for J.D. Vance, I should say for Tim Walz, that is exactly what he's doing. And so when I talk about the depth that these folks will go to, the Democrats, there is, at least for me, the more that you watch the Democrats, it really does seem like they just have lost any and all respect for the other side of the aisle. And I don't know, did I mention this yesterday? I can't remember. But I don't know, in all the time that I, bashed Joe Biden for his politics, I bashed the media for not covering Joe Biden and his clear, lack of mental ability to do the job. I never wished harm upon Joe Biden. And I don't know a conservative that did. But now here the Democrats are doing the exact opposite of conservatives and Republicans. I mean, when Biden was going through all of that, do you know anyone? I know Joan and I, we never wished harm upon Joe Biden. When Ken was here and Johnny was here, we laughed at him. We covered his cognitive decline, but we never wished harm upon the president of the United States. Scott Jennings was the voice of reason over at CNN.
Not much of Biden's presidency hearing, Trump supporters, more MAGA influencers kind of documenting every day, Biden stumbled on getting on the plane, or he walked a certain way, or he looked a certain way today. And now we're sort of seeing that flip on its head with Democrats taking that approach.
And why did we have to document it? Because nobody else would.
Hold on a second. Gotcha.
But I'll tell you who is a complete piece of I'm going to tell you right now. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, holding up a phone in front of a rally saying, well, we thought we were going to wake up and find out the president had died. Someday it'll happen. Someday it'll happen. I used to say he was the biggest buffoon in American politics, but it's worse now.
Yeah, I would say that Tim Walz is just a big buffoon. Perhaps one of the biggest buffoons in the country. But see, the thing is, I have not seen, because this happened over the 3-day weekend, I have not seen one person on the left come out and condemn what Tim Walz said. Not one. And so I thought it was interesting because Donald Trump, now I don't know if you believe this or not, but Trump swears that he didn't know about all of this that was going on over the Labor Day weekend. He says that he didn't know that the Democrats were wishing and hoping that he was dead. I thought it was interesting, though. So he was asked the question. He was asked the question by Peter Doocy about his thoughts on what happened. This is what Donald Trump said.
How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape.
Do you know, it's so interesting because there was a moment in time, last couple of days, there was a moment in time where I thought, do you think he did this on purpose, Donald Trump? Do you think he did this on purpose? Where he just decided, you know what, I'm going to lay low. And let's see what the Democrats do. And they never disappoint, do they? So, yeah, he's right. Donald Trump is right on a number of fronts. The same people that didn't care about Biden missing for months suddenly are wondering, where Donald Trump is after not being seen for all of a couple of days. And the best part of all of this is that Trump looked great at that press conference yesterday. He looked great. He was in a great mood as well. And I think that he did know about the whole, Donald Trump is dead thing. He's probably just saying that he didn't know. But I think he knew. And I think that he absolutely loves that all of these people that were wishing and hoping that the president was dead, number one, they're incredibly disappointed, and they're also, quite frankly, exposed. Do you know what I think, though? I think that, because I've been trying to figure out, and I don't know, Sam or Joan, if you know how this whole thing started with Donald Trump, but I think that there's probably people on like the deep dark web that say to each other, hold my beer, this is what I'm going to do. And watch this, because, boy, they sure did. And so now the question is, number one, how did it start? But number two, some media outlets are saying that it was this comment from J.D. Vance that was taken way out of context. But I even played this audio for you days ago where they took this interview from J.D. Vance, and he was basically asked, okay, so are you ready to be president of the United States? And, I mean, he had a great answer. Listen to this, J.D. Vance.
As vice president, you're a heartbeat away from the presidency. And your boss is one of the oldest people to ever be sworn into office.
Yep.
You're one of the youngest people to ever be second in line. Are you ready to assume the role of commander-in-chief? And why should Americans trust you to lead the country?
I mean, I love what J.D. Vance had to say. I'm going to play that for you. Coming up next, it is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Antioch, 24 westbound past the Blue Hole Road overpass. There's an accident in the left lane. Jolton construction delays. 24 eastbound at Whites Creek Pike Road work. Traffic stop and go from the Harper Road overpass. Reports of an accident in the backup. I'm Christy Ryan.
Very good. As far as your weather for today, we've got a mix of clouds and sun. You got a thunderstorm possible in spots. A high of 84 today. Going to feel like 90, 55% of rain as well. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So where did this whole Donald Trump is dead thing come from? Well, nobody really knows, but they believe that the internet trolls and the people that do such things purposely took this comment from J.D. Vance way out of context when he was asked, number one, are you ready to lead the country and to lead the world? That's number one. And number two, J.D. Vance took great pains to say that Donald Trump is doing fine, but they ignored that.
Well, I've gotten a lot of good on-the-job training over the last 200 days, but also say that the president is in incredibly good health. He's got incredible energy. And while most of the people who work around the president of the United States are younger than he is, I think that we find that he actually is the last person who goes to sleep. He's the last person making phone calls at night, and he's the first person who wakes up and the first person making phone calls in the morning. So, yes, things can always happen. Yes, terrible tragedies happen, but I feel very confident the President of the United States is in good shape, is going to serve out the remainder of his term and do great things for the American people. And if, God forbid, there's a terrible tragedy, I can't think of better on-the-job training than what I've gotten over the last 200 days.
Oh, yeah, J.D. Vance is absolutely right. And I think that Trump is out there doing what he can to really prepare conservatives and independents and Republicans to vote for J.D. Vance in 2028. Because I think Donald Trump does understand that his legacy really is at stake. I mean, it is. And I think that if you've got J.D. Vance in there, then clearly Donald Trump's legacy will continue on. And, that would be a very good feather in the cap of Donald Trump to have his vice president later on become president with that on-the-job training that he is talking about. So that is part of the news cycle this morning. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986. We're talking earlier, by the way, about the Cory Booker photos, the marriage photos, hey, we're going to get married photos that I've posted now to my X feed at Dan Manda Show. Joan and Sam, people are saying that those actually look like fake photos.
They do.
That they are AI generated.
Oh, that they're AI generated. That's a whole new angle on this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell. Do you know what the problem is now with AI? Is that you're on Facebook, right, Joan?
Oh, yeah.
So have you noticed with artificial intelligence AI, there's all of these stories, like really well-written, stories. I mean, they are, stories that aren't true.
Yeah.
But you end up getting sucked in, and they don't always say that these stories are not true, that they were actually just written by AI. I don't know what's real anymore.
I always fall for the reels that are not real.
The reels that are not real.
You know the reels on Facebook?
Oh,
in your timeline, you click on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're so not real.
No, like the one where somebody is supposedly getting eaten by a shark or whatever.
Or by a lion. Yeah.
I fall for those too. So, AI has, I'm not going to say it's taken all the fun out of things, but what I would say is that you just, especially with the stories that people are, they're not really writing these stories. They're just plugging in. Have you ever done that, Joan? You plug in, what you want AI to write, and it'll just spit out a story for you.
I've never done it, but I know that you can do that.
Riker loves this. Like he'll come down and he'll sit down with me at the dinner table.
Yeah.
With his computer, and he will say, "What do you want to write? What do you want it to? What kind of a story do you want it to do?" And I'll just, okay, so I'll type something in, just whatever it is. Out will pop an amazing story. Like, it is incredible. I mean, this is why when they say that screenwriters, for example.
Yeah, out of business.
Out of business.
Yep.
Out of work. I saw a reel, speaking of reels, I saw a reel of a guitar player, forget his name, but he says that artificial intelligence has already taken the jobs of drummers and bass players in the studio. And that soon guitar players are going to go by the wayside as well. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but we're here in Middle Tennessee, in Nashville. So I would be very curious to know if you're a guitar player, if you're a bass player, if you are a drummer, maybe a keyboardist, but is AI taking your jobs in the studio? Because this guy said, oh, yeah, if you're a bass player, if you're a drummer, AI has taken all of the work of a live band. So, and he says guitar players are, holding on, but just barely. So if you are one of those, let me know if that really is going on, because I would think that people would be able to tell if it's AI or if it is an actual musician, an actual player. But it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. So anyway, let me know on the super text line, 615-737-99-86. And it is 6:22. Joan has the news coming up at 6:30. Joan.
An early morning attack on a pedestrian bridge in Nashville. We've got the latest on that. Also, if you use Amazon, you're going to want to know about some changes that are coming up. We've got that for you at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.22, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Avoid the stress of listing your home on the market and sell your home fast for all cash with a guaranteed offer from my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate. Dan Mandis here. I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate to my friends here in Nashville because I know they are going to trust your home hassle-free with a strong all-cash offer. As a matter of fact, with Mark Spain Real Estate, the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends have consistently named Mark Spain Real Estate as a top real estate team in the U.S. for closed transactions for 9 years in a row now, including being ranked the #1 real estate team in the nation for 5 consecutive years. Mark Spain Real Estate is the real estate company you need to go through if you need to get out of your home fast. Mark Spain Real Estate has been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years. And they have served over 72,000 satisfied clients. And you, my friends, could be next. Find out what your guaranteed all-cash offer would be on your home today. There's no obligation. Call them at 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. Find them online anytime. It is markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing. 628 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. All right, real quick, because I don't have a lot of time, but in the last 30 minutes, I have mentioned Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. You couple that with, of course, Ron DeSantis, and you have a great bench for the Republican Party heading into 2028. Donald Trump was on a radio show, Scott Jennings, actually, and he was asked, okay, so let's talk about the bench for the Democrats. What do you think about it? Here's what Trump said.
You look at their bench. They have Crockett. How about Crockett?
Oh, man.
I watched her the other day. That can't be serious. I mean, it can't be serious. But look at Crockett. Look at some of the people they have.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it.
Yeah, what in the world is that?
I watched Maxine Waters on television yesterday. She's an insult to intelligence. I mean, she's terrible.
It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness.
They're just terrible people. They don't have a bench. AOC, she speaks like a mouse. She's a little mouse. That's why you don't hear her speaking very much. So I think when she gets exposed, she'll be known as of average. She's the one that actually started a lot of this.
Yeah, so that is President Trump. Did you hear that audio, Joan, of Jasmine Crockett?
I cannot believe that this woman she's such an embarrassment. How is it that she is in our nation's Congress?
Well, she is going to be gerrymandered out in Texas.
Yeah.
That's
won't
number
be
one.
long.
But she's talking about running for the Senate.
I know. I know.
So, and you know what the thing is? I think the thing that is particularly insulting is that she doesn't speak like that. Like she is private school educated. You've heard interviews where she speaks perfectly fine. But then that thing that she just did.
Right, she said how Christian they is.
Ugh.
Who talks like that if from the Congress?
Well, here's the thing. If I was the community that she is trying to connect with, I would be insulted.
Yes.
Is this really what you think of us? Got to go. 6:30 WTN.
He is here.
Good morning. It's now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We are returning to some hot weather today, and then tomorrow we could see some heavy rain. That's according to Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro.
Could toss a thunderstorm in there with a gusty wind. And remember, the ground is so dry that if you get a heavy downpour, it runs off before it gets absorbed by the ground. So there could be some flash flooding in some areas.
Yeah, the full forecast is coming up right after the news. The search is on for the 4 people who used guns to attack 3 people standing on the Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge early Sunday morning. Here's Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
They pointed guns at the victims, and a rifle was even used to hit one in the face. He was rushed to the hospital, and then another victim was struck in the head, and a third was punched in the head.
Now, the suspects were seen taking off in a gray Chrysler 300. Now, I've posted the photos of 3 of those suspects to my X account. It's Joan Jones WTN. If you recognize these guys, call Nashville Crime Stoppers. And there's bad news for Amazon users. Starting October 1st, you'll no longer be allowed to share free shipping benefits with people outside of your household. Instead, Amazon's offering a program called Amazon Family. It allows you to share Prime benefits with one other adult, but they have to share the same address as you. Everyone else has to sign up for their own Prime membership. That change comes after Amazon reported Prime signups in the days before this year's Prime Day fell short of last year. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 6:32, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Contours, listen, if you are not feeling confident getting into that bathing suit, my friends at Contours, they can help you with a belly buster special. I've been telling you about this for, months now. And what Contours and their belly buster specials can do for you. Now, they utilize red light technology that is cutting edge. Red light technology, it is unique, but it is also effective. Now, if you don't know how that works, go to their website, contoursllc.com, and check it out for yourself. But right now, if you want to take a couple of inches off the middle, call them right now at this phone number and get a belly buster special for just $99. 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960 for contours and that belly buster special. And again, find out more online at contoursllc.com. Now, people have been coming from all across Middle Tennessee to check out Contours. And again, go to their website, see how it all works, contoursllc.com. And again, this is cutting edge red light technology, unique, effective, and they're waiting for your call. $99 belly buster special right now at 615-236-9960. You're one of the first 10 callers. You are in for $99. 615-236-9960. ContoursLLC.com. All you've got to lose is inches. Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is the Busy Bee Best Prices of the Year event. It is going on right now, and the savings, they are buzzing. Refer your neighbor, and both of you get a $50 credit when you schedule HVAC maintenance. You can celebrate National Grandparent Day all month long. If you're a Beehive Club member, gift a free Beehive membership to one set of grandparents in just our way of course, honoring family. If you need a new HVAC unit, get a free 5-year labor warranty with every single purchase. Now, if you need some plumbing, listen to this. Plumbing deals, we've got you covered at Busy Bee. $500 off water and drain repipes, $300 off tanked to tankless water heaters, and right now, up to $1,500 off water filtration systems for plumbing service. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out. That phone number is 615-775-7833. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. All kinds of ways to save you money. 615-775-7833. Find them online anytime. It's BusyBeeHVAC.com.
Couple of problem spots in Jolton. You've got trouble this morning on 24 eastbound before Whites Creek Pike, exit 35. There is a crash, and the two left lanes are blocked off by it. Also, a crash in Antioch on 24, the westbound side. This is at the Blue Hole Road overpass, and the right lane is blocked off there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
638 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to Nashville's Morning News. Jonathan Fahey is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Jonathan, always great to have you on. And man, there's so many things that I want to talk to you about. Now, first of all, this is the headline from Yahoo. Donald Trump's use of the National Guard during the LA immigration protests has been ruled illegal by a federal judge. Okay, so what does this mean in the overall scheme of things? Because the whole thing's already done.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like the judge is just trying to make a point after the fact because there's really no point to appeal this. And what the judge said, which was not getting into the weeds, and I haven't read the entire opinion, but basically it violated the Posse Comitatus Act, which said you can't use the military for law enforcement purposes. But they weren't even using them for that. They're using them to guard facilities and things like that. But yeah, I think it's just basically the judge wanted to put this out there. I don't think it's going to stop Donald Trump if he sees another situation, like say, for example, Chicago, where he thinks it's necessary, particularly in situations where the locals are obstructing ICE agents or other federal agents from being able to conduct their jobs and enforce federal law.
One of the things that I thought was interesting, and I mean, I think I know how this stuff works. A judge will put it out there. And so if President Trump does want to send in the National Guard to, say, for example, Chicago, Memphis, et cetera, does this make the president a little more gun shy because he was already struck down in this federal court? Because, I mean, ultimately, the question as to whether or not Donald Trump is, in good legal standing is if it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. Am I wrong on that? Or, could this impact other decisions that Donald Trump has to make?
Well, since it's Donald Trump, I would say no. I don't think it will deter him at all.
Right.
And this decision isn't going to be, it's not binding on courts other than that particular court. So a district judge in California could say something, a district judge in Tennessee could say something totally different on the same issue, and neither one has to follow the other. I'm sure people will say that that's the issue, but again, it would go in front of a different court, assuming he doesn't go back in L.A. But again, if he goes back in L.A., it goes back to the court, and he could appeal it to the Ninth Circuit and ultimately the Supreme Court. So will this deter him? Probably not. Is it something people on the left will freak out about? Yes, because they'll say they've already said it's illegal, but it really isn't illegal to use the National Guard in a lot of the circumstances that have been contemplated. One, particularly guarding federal buildings and things like that. There seems to be nothing inappropriate about that.
All right, moving right along. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And, of course, this guy, he is involved in 3 different lawsuits. Most recently, he applied for asylum in immigration court after he was returned to the United States. And I guess my question regarding Kilmar Abrego Garcia is he faces these charges in Tennessee. And so there's all of these cases that are just floating around out there. And how do they decide which case takes precedent? I mean, will he ever see a day in court here in the state of Tennessee? Do you see him getting, deported? They're saying he's going to be sent to Uganda. What happens to this guy?
Yeah, I do not think he will ever go back to court in Tennessee because he will be deported to Uganda or somewhere else. But here's that's one of the big problems with what that Tennessee judge did is basically that judge's job is to make sure, one, the person they release isn't a danger to the community, so I think they failed on that front, but also to make sure they will return to court. And if they're going to be deported by ICE, they're not going to be returned to court. So the judge's job was to make sure that this defendant, Mr. Maryland man, was there for court, and instead they did something that seemingly was political or something I've never seen before. When there's an ICE detainer, you don't release somebody. So, yes, short answer, he will not go back to Tennessee. He'll be deported to Uganda or somewhere else. The asylum claim will fail. It already failed, remember, on the prior case that, he was claiming asylum to go back to El Salvador, and they said, no, you don't have an asylum claim because it's basically torture or persecution usually by the government. So they said that doesn't apply, but it might be dangerous for you to go back because you're a risk of getting killed by coincidentally a rival gang of MS-13, now that he's claiming not to be an MS-13. So he's going to fail on that because he can't claim that he will be tortured or persecuted by the government of El Salvador, or even if he does, he has to also be able to say that there's no third-party country that will accept him, and we know that's not true because President Trump has lined up other countries that will basically take him in, one of them being Uganda. So he's ultimately going somewhere, and it's not going to be here, and it's not going to be Tennessee, and my guess is it will likely be Uganda, and he's just going to have to deal with it. He'll become Ugandan man, I guess, but he's not going back. He's not going back to Tennessee, and he's not going to stay here.
I'm just curious. Like, once he goes to Uganda and he realizes, okay, even El Salvador would be better than this, does he have any freedom to move around the planet? Or is he, I mean, clearly he can't be simply stuck in Uganda. I mean, he does have some freedom to go to other nations, doesn't he?
I mean, I guess he could do whatever he wants, depending on what sort of...
I mean, he can't come back here.
Things. Yeah, he can't come back here, and if some other country wants him, and it's kind of interesting because this is now a worldwide issue, and there's not a lot of places stepping up to take him in if he was such a sympathetic, wonderful figure. You think one of these leftist European countries would want to take him in to make a show of solidarity with them, but nobody wants him. And yeah, if Uganda wants to give him process to be able to get a passport or visa to go somewhere else, and those other countries want him in there, that's fine. Or he could try sneaking in somewhere else, but I don't think he's coming back here. Even if he could get back here, he probably will think it probably isn't worth it.
Yeah, I find the saga of Kilmar Abrego Garcia fascinating just because of the politics involved and, the Democrats and everything that they did, and the media, by the way, to try to paint him as the Maryland man. We find out he's, MS-13, and he's got, wife beater and all of the other things, human trafficking, all of those things we find out after the Democrats have jumped all in to try to protect this guy. And ultimately, it was their Trump derangement syndrome gone awry. So we'll keep tabs on Kilmar Abrego Garcia as the days and weeks continue to unfold. Coming up, Jonathan, I'm going to ask you, Jonathan Fahey joining us, former acting director of ICE under Trump's administration, number one. And we were talking about this earlier. Donald Trump takes out a Venezuelan drug boat, and he, in the process, kills 11 Venezuelans said to be gang members. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, intervals of clouds and sun today. A thunderstorm is possible in some areas. A high of 84, feeling like 90, 55% chance of showers. As a matter of fact, Jonathan Fahey joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Jonathan, let me ask you, this Venezuelan drug boat that was apparently coming towards America, Donald Trump saying that they had not only drugs, but there were not one, not two, but 11 Venezuelan, I don't know if they were gang members. I mean, I would assume that they were. And Donald Trump just took them out in the middle of the ocean. And I think that this is, personally, I think this is a great thing. But is Donald Trump going to get into any legal trouble with this?
I don't think so, because on these sort of narrow types of, things with using the military, you don't have to go through Congress. You can say, there's an immediate national security threat. They've already declared Tren de Aragua, to be a foreign terrorist organization. And I think even on this one, at least what I'm seeing so far, the Democrats haven't, totally gotten on board with the Tren de Aragua and the drug traffickers, although we might see, Chris Van Hollen going down to, have cocktails with them. But I think even the Democrats are a little hesitant on this one because it's like, they kind of look foolish on some of these other ones. And I think overall, this is a great thing. I agree with you, because not only, we dealt with these particular people, but it's a great message not only to the drug cartels or to anyone that might want to work with them. You might say, oh, this job is a little more dangerous than I bargained for, but also all of these other countries that are kind of in this world of like, do we cooperate with the United States because we got so much pressure from the drug cartels, sort of where do we come out on this? They're more likely to come out on the United States side. And, Marco Rubio is having this trip this week.
Yep.
And, countries like Mexico, that the drug cartels are so powerful, it makes a big difference to show not only are we more powerful, which is, stating the obvious, but we're willing to use that power against them. And that may make some of these countries, their governments, come more to our side and fight the cartels on their, in their country as well. So I think overall a great thing to do this for so many reasons. And it just, again, shows such a difference between the weakness of the Biden administration and the strength of the Trump administration. I think everyone knows they're dealing with a different United States now.
Do you know what one of the things that's interesting, Jonathan, is, in watching CNN, all they keep harping on with this is not that it's a great thing, but that this is and I'm quoting here now, Jonathan Fahey, a major escalation in Donald Trump's, battle against drug dealers and Venezuelan gang members and so forth. And it's almost like they're reporting it like Donald Trump is, I don't know, trying to ratchet up the war that he's having with these gang members. But I don't see how this would be considered a major escalation as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. And most Americans, I'd be willing to bet, would say that it is a good thing that we, number one, prevented a bunch of drugs from coming into our country, but we killed a bunch of bad guys before we had to arrest them and then deal with them in the in the legal department.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I just don't see the downside of this. And I think, the American people, the prior administration was so weak on every front, and it's sort of demoralizing as a citizen when you see our government, our leaders getting ruled, whether it's by China, whether it's Russia, whether it's these drug cartels. Everywhere they go, they're just getting walked on and getting basically pushed around in meetings. So I just don't see, to the extent it's an escalation. It's an isolated incident as well, so I don't know that it is. But to the extent it's an escalation, it's a good thing because the whole name of the game and we've seen this on the border, the deterrence is the name of the game. Right?
Yep.
We don't have people coming across the border, not because they might not be able to still sneak in, because they're like, oh, this will suck if I get here because I'm just going to get locked up. I spent $7,000 on a coyote to get here, and I'm getting turned around right away, so it's not worth it. And that's what's going on there. So it's like, yeah, this is huge. Deterrence is huge. I think the American people are sick of 100,000 people dying every year from drug overdoses, and this government, meaning the prior government, didn't do a single thing to prevent it because they were more interested in their open borders, shenanigans than protecting the American people.
Yeah, and I think if you ask the average American if they want these drug dealers and these drugs blown up before they get to America, 99.9% of them, even some of the Democrats, would say, kill them while they're out at sea. Jonathan Fahey, always great to have you on. How can people follow you on X?
John for Fairfax, JONFORFAIRFAX. And do we have any promotion for the next followers, Dan? Trip to Uganda, or what do we got?
You know what? If people follow you on X, they get great posts from you. That's
fantastic.
That's there
it goes. Thank you.
All right, bye. I'm sorry, it's not in the budget. We have nothing budgeted for anything on this show and on this station. However, we get Joan Jones, who has the news coming up at 7. Joan.
Yeah, President Trump accusing China's leader of conspiring against the U.S. Also, a Murray County woman is thanking her lucky stars today. We've got those stories coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here is Zentex. You know, your bathroom is one of the biggest selling points when it comes to selling your home. And Zentex, they can help you with a huge upgrade and a special price and offer just for my listeners. Now, you can upgrade your bathtub into a walk-in shower with grab bars and a bench seat from Zentex. Now, this is going to help the older folks in your life. And a bathtub redesign can make your bathroom look spectacular. Now, a little bit about Zentex, because there's a lot of companies out there. This is why you should go through Zentex. They're family-owned and operated for 25 years. They're not a fly-by-night company. They were the 2022 winner of the Better Business Bureau Torch Awards for ethics, and last year, they were voted one of the best places to work in the construction industry. You got happy employees, the customer service is going to be outstanding, and this is why I put my trust behind Zentex. Your work is going to be done in a day or less, on time and on budget. And right now, a great offer for my listeners. You mention me in WTN, you get a free Kohler toilet and get $999 off your bathroom project, or enjoy no interest for 2 years, whatever works best for you. Check them out online, Zintex, Zentex.com. .657, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You say 3 minutes to fill? Is that what you said? Okay, great, 3 minutes. I've been well danned on the super text line because during the
What'd
interview.
you do now?
Well, during the interview with Jonathan Fahey, I said that 99% of the American people would favor drug dealers and gang members and drugs being blown up in the ocean versus, making it to the shores of America where then we have to pay for them to make their way through our legal system and go through all of that kind of stuff. So 3618 says this. Your statistic of 99% of Americans would want these drug traffickers blown up in the ocean before they even get here is way wrong.
Oh.
And he says, I'm going to tell you why. He says there's a lot of dope things in America, and so 99% ain't even close. He says, I'll probably go with more like 62%. I think he's saying that there's a lot of, people in this country who like to do their dope. And so
I see. Yeah.
And so he is saying that only 62%. Hey, you want to do a Daily Dan poll? Sam's back behind the control board, and he's like, oh, I remember this. Let's do a Daily Dan poll, and let's figure out how to word it. Are you okay with Donald Trump? This is going to be like 100% to 0. Are you okay with Donald Trump blowing up gang members, drug dealers, and drugs in the middle of the ocean? I mean, I can't imagine anybody would be against that.
So was Louis saying the other day that he had issues putting a poll up?
Well, you might want to ask Louis about that, but...
Now.
It is 7 o'clock. Brian Wilson is going to be joining us, and that's going to be after the news at 7. Looking forward to that. Also, we've got Senator Bill Hagerty coming up at 7:35. At 8:05, we've got Congressman Scott DesJarlais. I'm just jam-packed with interviews today, and it was kind of weird. Everybody called me back for once. That never happens. Anyway, so looking forward to Brian Wilson coming up next. Senator Hagerty at 7:35, Scott DesJarlais at 8:05, and we'll talk to you coming up next on Super Talk 89.7 WTN.
Good morning, now 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, China flexed its military muscle yesterday with a parade meant to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. Russia and North Korea were among the world leaders who were invited, but not President Trump.
It's about pride and power and patriotism on a global stage, showcasing its new military hardware, intercontinental ballistic missiles that are technically capable of reaching continental United States if need be. Also unmanned drones, stealth bombers. This was about, for Xi Jinping, showing that its military is modernized and ready for combat.
ABC's Britt Clennett reporting there. President Trump accused Russia's Vladimir Putin, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and China's Xi Jinping of conspiring against the United States. The University of Kentucky student accused in the death of her infant has been released on bond. 21-year-old Laken Snelling of Jefferson County, Tennessee, posted a $100,000 bond. She's at home now wearing an ankle monitor. Lexington police say that Snelling's infant was found dead in her closet in her home, wrapped in a towel inside of a black trash bag. This happened last week. She's got a court date set for September 26th. A woman sitting on the front porch of a Murray County home is thanking her lucky stars. The home on Robertson Road was plowed into by a speeding truck. It hit that spot on the porch where she had been sitting. That woman tells Channel 4 that she had heard the truck tires squealing, so she got up and ran.
The cars and things that come up and down this road, they're coming down here pretty fast. And I'm kind of surprised no accident has happened before now. You know, the rain just intensified it. And since we hadn't had rain in a while, the roads got slicker and people just need to be safe out here.
The driver of the truck got out and apologized, saying that he hit a slick spot. People living in the Ellenbrook Farms area say that speeding drivers are very common. And a recent graduate of the Citadel may be rethinking his trip to Nashville to celebrate. The man's mother posting on Facebook that her son JP was at Casa Rosa, that's Miranda Lambert's bar, when he lost his Citadel ring. JP had just recently lost weight. His ring slipped off his finger, Mom says. Mom is asking for prayers that it be returned to her son. If you come upon it, you can report it to Metro Police. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures all in the green this morning. The Dow futures are up just 5 points. We've got NASDAQ futures gaining 155 and the S&P futures up 29 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:03, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. Are you trapped in a high-rate mortgage, watching your hard-earned money vanish every single month? Well, stop right now, because at Loan Pronto, they are delivering the lowest mortgage rates in 3 years. Now, Loan Pronto's rate reduction home loan program is a streamlined, low-cost way to slash your house payments by hundreds of dollars every single month. That's right. If you're locked in a fixed low rate, you can get as low as 4.99% APR with Loan Pronto and close in as little as 2 weeks with no appraisal needed in most cases. And here's the kicker. You can skip your next 2 house payments entirely. That's right. Skip your next 2 house payments entirely with Loan Pronto. Now, don't wait. Rates like this won't last long. So call Loan Pronto right now for your free, no obligation quote. Loan Pronto is amazing. Lower payments, more money in your pocket, and a fresh start with a better mortgage. Call them at 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Find them online anytime, loanpronto.com, to lock in your new low rate and skip those next 2 payments. Don't let high rates hold you back, 615-499-5780. The website is loanpronto.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Looks like things are very slow this morning on 24, the westbound side. No real problems in that area. We do have a crash reported in Nashville on Bell Road, westbound at Benzing Road. 40 heading into Nashville, very slow this morning as well. And you do have delays on 24 and 65 at the merge. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.06 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And a good morning to you and a good morning to Brian Wilson. It is Wednesdays with Wilson, and Brian joins us here on Super Talk 99.7. Thanks to the Wellness Institute of Nashville for sponsoring this segment. So, Brian, got a lot that I want to talk about with you today. So let's just...
The list of things to discuss is as long as my arm, and as you know, I have really long arms.
You do have long arms. And
monkey-like. They're ape-like, really.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't want to play basketball against you. Donald Trump said this yesterday when he was asked if he'll be going into Chicago with the National Guard.
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. We lose when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot. Washington, D.C., is a safe zone right now.
I mean, that is Donald Trump, and he's right.
Right.
Washington, D.C. is a safe zone. So, Brian, why wouldn't Chicago want the same thing for their city?
Well, listen, I think, we do need to do something about these major cities that have so much crime. There's no doubt about it. And anything that the president wants to do in a blue city is going to be automatically controversial. But Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., has embraced this and is happy with the results, and it has been a good thing for D.C. As you know, I was recently there, and people that I talked to from across the political spectrum that I know in D.C. were telling me that they got no issue at all with having the National Guard here. And the presence, I want to just say, I don't think it's as big as people think it is, but they're there. There's no doubt about it, but it's not an overwhelming presence. But still, it's had a tremendous result. They've found missing children. They've shut down homeless encampments, which are a real problem in D.C. For some reason, it seems that homeless people are attracted to the nation's capital, and there's a lot of them. And they've worked on that, and they're cracking down, and they've gotten gang members off the streets. And all of this was possible if you just had the resources, which D.C. apparently said it didn't have the will to go forward. The difference however, between D.C. and Chicago, D.C. is a federal city, constitutionally mandated so, and Chicago is not. And whether or not this will come in violation of posse comitatus, which some people say that the L.A. Incident where they sent a bunch of National Guard to L.A. was a violation of that. So that's going to go to the I think to the highest court in the land eventually. Really, when it comes down to it, the two big things that Trump has done with immigration and then trying to make the country safer are things that probably are going to have to be decided by the Supreme Court. Now, the good news is the Supreme Court has done pretty well by Trump, and most of the stuff that he's gone to the Supreme Court, he's won. However, you got to look at some of this other stuff that's going on and wonder whether or not the Supreme Court will stand by him on this whole thing and allow him to go forward with there's stuff in Chicago because of posse comitatus.
But I think for Trump, it's mission accomplished. And here's what I mean by that, is that, number one, all right, we cleaned up Washington, D.C.
Yep.
But number two is he got the Democrats to embrace criminal behavior yet again.
Every time, I mean, this is the brilliance of what Trump is doing. He takes a thing that everybody's in favor of, safe streets in your major metropolitan areas. Who could be possibly against that? It turns out the Democrats are. And so, they have aligned against Trump on all this, and they're going to fight him. And it's a losing proposition for the Democrats. They just can't help themselves.
Well, the interesting thing too, Brian, is that they don't see what Donald Trump is doing. I mean, I think you and I may have talked about this before, but Memphis is in far worse shape than any other city. But Donald Trump decided to go to Chicago. He knows that he would, I don't know about Governor Lee, but, more than likely, perhaps he would have a better chance of getting the National Guard in Memphis with a conservative state legislature and a Republican governor than he would getting the National Guard in Chicago. So from a political perspective, I see what Donald Trump is doing. So even if it goes to the Supreme Court and he loses, it is, again, still mission accomplished because he got the mayor of Chicago and J.D. Pritzker as well to, again, embrace the chaos of Chicago.
Right.
And they're, in my opinion, it seems like they are gaslighting the American people because, J.D. Pritzker is basically saying, what? 8, 9 deaths over Labor Day weekend and 54 people shot? What's up? Where's the crisis?
Well, listen, there is a crisis in Chicago, and there's a crisis in a lot of other major metropolitan areas around this country. For Memphis, though, I mean, one thing that you can look at is that the state is trying to do something in Memphis. So, there is an action going on to try to secure Memphis and make it a safer place. It is a statewide led effort. So maybe Trump feels he doesn't need to go in there one way or the other. I just think that these kinds of decisions are going to end up before the high court. The high court is going to have to decide this stuff once and for all. I think he's on good standing, but you just have to note, and for the record, that there is a big difference between a federal city which is Washington, D.C., and Chicago. So there may be some difficulty there for him. I hope not, because it really needs to be done.
It does. All right, coming up, Brian, we're going to take a quick look at traffic. Coming up, though, very exciting news because we are right next to Alabama's Space Command.
That's
is
right.
Going to Huntsville. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Plus, Trump destroys the drug runners as well. One of my favorite stories of the day. All that and a whole lot more straight ahead with Brian Wilson, 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Far as your weather for today on your Wednesday, intervals of clouds and sun, thunderstorm possible with highs around 84, going to feel like 90, 55% chance of showers. Brian Wilson is joining us on WTN. All right, Brian, I got 3 things that we got to talk about. All right, we got to talk about the 2 that I just mentioned, and also Donald Trump accusing Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and Vladimir Putin of conspiring against America. So those are the 3. So real quick, let's do Space Command going to Huntsville. President Trump yesterday, it was interesting because one of the things that he said was, right now it's in Colorado Springs. He wants to move it. One of the things the president said was, well, the problem I have with Colorado is the way that they do their elections because they do mail-in ballots only, which is actually not true. He got that a little bit wrong. But was this decision, do you think this was the best decision for Space Command, or was it purely a political situation?
No, I think this is really political, and but hey, listen, how cool is it that Alabama's going to be the basic home base for Space Command? Really, literally within the sound of my voice right now.
Yep.
I mean, we reach all the way down to Huntsville, and this Redstone facility is really something. It will be a logical move, but you're taking it away from a blue state and you're giving it to a red state, and I think there's some politics involved in that. Regardless, he has, I think, the authority to do it, and it's exciting. Maybe when they do this, they can find a missile to put beside the road so that we can see the missile when we go to the beach. That's what I missed the missile.
Do you know that when because I talked about this on Red Eye Radio, do you know how many people from across the nation said, can they bring the missile back?
Yeah, bring that missile back. I miss it.
Where is the missile? Where did the actual missile go?
They took it down because it was a Saturn 1B, one of the smaller Saturn rockets that were used in the space program when we were going to the moon. And it just had deteriorated to the point where it was dangerous, so they had to dismantle it. There had been some talk about bringing another missile out there, but we need to do that. When you were going down to the beach, or you're going down to Birmingham for some reason, it was sort of like, hey, look, we're almost to Tennessee now. It was a wonderful thing. Everybody loved it. And I was very irritated when they had to take it down. But I think they had a good reason for doing it, one way or the other. I'd like to see it back as well. But congratulations to Alabama for securing the Space Command. That will be a very cool thing. By the way, did you know that my father-in-law worked at the Huntsville missile facility back in the day, way back, and worked for security there when he was in the military, and actually provided security for Wernher von Braun when he was there. So
no kidding.
Yeah, very cool.
Wow, that is neat.
Yeah.
All right, real quick. The Donald Trump takes out the drug runners coming from Venezuela. My favorite story of the day. He obliterates them, their boat, and there are supposedly 11 illegal alien gang members on their way to America with a bunch of drugs.
Yep, I'm for this, and I think we should do more of it. We need to declare this drug running enterprises of the cartels to be, a national security threat. They are a national security threat, and we should do to the drug runners what we do to other national security threats. If we see them, we take them out. And this is a good start, is what I'm saying. Make them wonder. Make them keep looking over their shoulder the whole time. Is there going to be a missile come down from on high and smoke us while we're trying to deliver these drugs? I love it. I want more of it. And I think, quite frankly, we should, just tell Mexico, if you're not going to straighten it out over there, we're going to come in. Now, this particular boat came from Venezuela, but a lot of our problems still are still located in Mexico, and we need to do something about it. And I would just tell Mexico, you fix it or we're gonna. And we have, I think, the authority to do so.
Yeah, and Marco Rubio, for the record, he is in Mexico. I think it's today, and he is going to speak to the leaders as we speak this week. And that is exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to talk to the president of Mexico, and he is trying to get more cooperation to keep the drugs out. All right, real quick. Xi Jinping, big military parade in China. He's watching the military parade with all of this incredible Chinese technology, by the way, including a laser that they say could dismantle electronics and blind pilots. So Xi Jinping is there with Kim Jong-un from North Korea and Vladimir Putin of Russia, obviously. And so Donald Trump puts on Truth Social asking Xi to please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America.
Right. These kinds of parades, you have to take them with a grain of salt. They want to make it look like they are a powerful entity, and China's nothing to sneeze at. Neither is Russia, really, even though we've turned out and seen in Ukraine that their military is not all that in a bag of chips. So they are not the fearsome thing that we thought it once was. But when you look at these parades, you have to understand some of those things are mock-ups.
Yeah.
Some of them are not real.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of falsehoods that are being presented here.
They're like a shell.
Yeah, it's like a shell. It's a lot of that stuff is not real. A lot of it is aspirational. Mm-hmm. It's something that you have to take with a grain of salt. Now, that's not to say they don't have some technology we should be concerned about, and they're certainly building ships like crazy, far outstripping what we're trying to do in this country. China is our greatest, I think, international threat, and we have to take it seriously. But you do have to look at those things with a grain of salt.
So do you think Trump was right or wrong to post that, basically, I don't know, directly interacting with Xi Jinping in a manner that is, clearly, I mean, you got CNN that is freaking out over this thing. I like what the president did. I'm just going to, cards on the table. I love what the president did because you're right, Brian. It adds to that air of unpredictability.
Well, basically he says, look, hey, how y'all doing over there? He's just noting that they're there and not panicked about it. And I think that's the thing that he's saying. Hey, have your little parade. It's all good.
Knock yourselves out. Tell everybody I said hey.
That's
all right, Brian, thank you very much. Always great to have you on. And
my pleasure.
I'll talk to you again soon. It is 7:22 on Nashville's Morning News. Again, that segment brought to you by the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Joan Jones has the news at 7:30, followed by, we have Senator Bill Hagerty who is going to be joining me live, I believe, from Washington, D.C. That is coming up. Joan, what is coming up at 7:30?
Yeah, we'll tell you what we found about the Jeffrey Epstein files that have been released. Also, Confederate General Robert E. Lee makes a comeback. We've got those stories and more coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here, 723 on Super Talk 99.7. The Wellness Institute of Nashville, they've got a great deal going on right now, $12. $12 gets you a comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment for your chronic back, neck, or knee pain. Now listen, specifically because I came to Nashville, I had chronic back and neck pain. If that's you, or if you've got sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs or fingers or toes, well, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they can help you like they helped me. It is all part of their state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression. They can help you. No surgery, no spinal injections, and no painkillers. This is a place, this is a company that is going to help you. So call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. They've been helping folks out here in Middle Tennessee for years. So call them today if you've got back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, and a whole lot more. I can tell you they will be incredibly helpful. Let me tell you what they're not. They're not surgeons. They're not going to give you any spinal injections and no painkillers. Again, state-of-the-art, non-surgical spinal decompression therapy. They can help you. Call them, 615-246-5009. The website, painisbad.com. That's painisbad.com.
Good morning. It is 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The House Oversight Committee releasing tens of thousands of records related to Jeffrey Epstein, now being uploaded to an online site. And today, some of the victims hold a press conference with a bipartisan group of lawmakers. ABC's Christiane Cordero.
Many will be breaking their silence for the first time to demand the release of the Epstein files. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee yesterday released more than 33,000 pages of Epstein documents. Democrats note most of the information in the 33,000 pages was already public.
Now, the files include court documents, flight records, and even video of Epstein's cell block from before his death that does include that missing minute from earlier videos. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti has filed an appeal after a panel of judges overturned a couple of gun laws last week. Here's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams.
One was a ban on guns in public parks, and the other was a law against carrying a gun with the intent to go armed. The AG argues that they, in fact, are constitutional.
AG Skrmetti saying that the ruling goes too far. Robert E. Lee has been returned to West Point. A portrait of Lee dressed in his Confederate uniform has been restored to the school's library after being ripped out during the Biden administration's quest to, quote, address racial injustice. There are also plans to restore a bust of Lee that had been removed from a plaza at the U.S. Military Academy. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Right now, the Dow futures are minus 23 points, but the NASDAQ futures gaining 171. The S&P futures are up 30. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. And you know, it is so amazing to be able to see without glasses these days, thanks to Dr. Horn and Vision for Life. Now, I needed corrective surgery to treat my cataracts, and I researched all the local ophthalmologists. One guy kept showing up as Nashville's best. That was Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, they've been doing this for 20 years now, 20 years of helping folks see with 20/20 vision or better. Now, Vision for Life has thousands of positive reviews, and they've been around for decades. Now, Dr. Horn took the time to sit down with me, and he answered all my questions, all my concerns as well. And by the way, I had a lot. Is it going to hurt? What's the recovery time? Will I need glasses? And I kid you not, Dr. Horn spent 45 minutes with me walking through the entire process. And by the way, no, it doesn't hurt. The recovery time is really quick. And no, I don't need glasses. Now, 4 weeks after the procedure, I was seeing 20/20 vision. And this was months ago. And I am feeling and looking great. I can see with 20/20 vision at least, and I am 100% satisfied with Dr. Horn. My only regret is that I didn't do this sooner. So check him out online. It is visionforlife.com. Call them, and that number is 436-2020, 615-436-2020. Help them celebrate 20 years of providing 20/20 vision by scheduling your consultation today. Visionforlife.com.
big old delay on 65 northbound this morning. It starts back before Spring Hill. South of Spring Hill, this delay begins heading in this morning. 24, also quite a mess. Looks like there's an accident at Franklin Limestone Road, and that's causing a lot of delays on the highway itself. You've got delays as well around around Bell Road at Benzing Road. That's an accident scene. And another one in Inglewood on Gallatin Pike at Hart Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's get right to the Newsmaker Hotline. Senator Bill Hagerty is joining us. Senator, always great to have you on. First thing I've got to ask is with the National Guard troops in Washington, D.C., you are there. You're on the ground on this Wednesday. What has the impact been for somebody like you who spends a lot of time in Washington, D.C.?
Well, Dan, it certainly seems a lot more calm. I spoke with my staff yesterday and just asked them to raise their hands if they felt more safe. Every hand shot up. It's really just amazing that we ever allowed our nation's capital to get to the state that it is in. If you recall, Dan, it was about 2 years ago when the D.C. City Council, in their infinite wisdom, decided it would be appropriate to lower the penalties for major felonies like murder, carjacking, and property theft. I actually chair the Financial Services and General Government Committee of the Appropriations Committee, and that puts me, sadly, in charge of part of D.C.'s budget. So I used a very little-known procedure called a resolution of disapproval and disapproved the D.C. City Council's move. I mean, this is in the middle of a crime wave, and they decided it would be a good signal to lower the penalties. Absolutely the wrong thing to do. The White House said they would veto it. Joe Biden threatened to veto me immediately. And I kept telling the reporters who would ask, Joe Biden ought to poll this, because defunding the police isn't working too well for the Democrats. Crime's not popular in America. You know what? By the time I brought it to the floor of the United States Senate, Joe Biden flipped that afternoon, and I got 88 senators to join me. We passed it. We stopped D.C. We blocked them from lowering the penalties. But what we couldn't do is force them to enforce the law. That's what President Trump has stepped in to take care of. He's actually proving that if you're present, if you're here, if you're on the streets, if you're not defunding the police, but you're supporting them, good things can happen. So I think that the city is in the process of transforming. As you know, there's beautiful architecture here. There's a lot of great history. I want people from Tennessee to feel comfortable when they come to visit me and come to visit their capital. And President Trump has been able to put in place in very short order the type of discipline necessary to actually allow D.C. to bring its streets under control.
Senator Bill Hagerty is joining us now. Senate, Congress back in session. The deadline for government funding is September 30th. So my question is, what are the major sticking points, and do you predict another continuing resolution?
Well, I think the biggest sticking point is Chuck Schumer. He is basically, on a collision course with destiny here, and the destiny meaning the burial of the Democrat Party. He seems to be calling for shut down his base. He says they should just shut the government down in protest of Donald Trump's efforts to actually find means of cost control. I think you may have heard that there's another rescission package that's been offered, a $4.9 billion package of wasteful spending that's been identified at the U.S. Department of State and USAID that has been proposed to basically not spend this money between now and the end of September. What we've seen is Chuck Schumer go apoplectic over this and say that he wants to shut the government down if we don't spend this money on wasteful things that have been identified. For example, $500 million going to the United Nations for programs that actually work against America's interest. You've got funds going to global LGBTQ awareness, whatever that is, climate resistance in Honduras. It goes on and on. Yet Chuck Schumer's saying he's willing to shut the government down over this because we're not going to continue to make the wasteful spending. It seemed to be the Democrats' priority. We're not going to continue to do that. So I think that Schumer is the biggest question mark here. Is he going to continue to pursue this course, this reckless course, I think, of shutting the government down just to make a point that he hates Donald Trump and he hates the Republican Party?
Well, one of the things, is we talk about government shutdowns, and again, the deadline is September 30th, is who's to blame for the government shutdown? It always seems to be like, the Democrats will try to pin it on the Republicans and vice versa. And so I guess the question is, if Schumer does that, just strictly from a political standpoint, could the Democrats and people like Chuck Schumer, could they pay politically for shutting down the government over issues that have proven unpopular with the American people?
Well, it's always a blame game. The thing that the Democrats have working in their advantage, Dan, is the fact that the mainstream media always toe the line. They'll always do whatever the Democrats say, and they'll always do their best to try to make Republicans look bad. But this situation is one where I think it is crystal clear. Republicans have been moving through the process. As I mentioned, I'm on the Appropriations Committee. We have been moving our appropriation bills through the process. Chuck Schumer never did that. So we're in a much better position now to actually, bring a package to the floor. Let us do it. Chuck Schumer will try, again, every procedural delay, though, to make that not happen.
Well, the Senator, we'll see what Chuck Schumer ultimately ends up doing. There's been a lot of delays going on with Donald Trump and all of the nominees that need to have Senate confirmation. So I see that the Republicans and Donald Trump, they are looking to change some rules in the confirmation process. And also, the president is attacking something called blue slips. So, can you shed some light on what rules need to be changed for this backlog of 140 nominees have been, basically, are they put on hold or what's going on?
Oh, there's more than that. There have been, I think, less than 140 that have actually gotten through, Dan. It's a record low. And I'm the poster child for why we need to change the rules. As you know, I served in the Trump administration, in the first Trump administration. They invoked a procedural mechanism, Chuck Schumer did this, called cloture on me. I had to look it up. I didn't know what cloture meant. Cloture means that it's a required 30 hours of debate on the Senate floor to debate a controversial item. In this case, it was my nomination to be U.S. ambassador to Japan. Was it controversial? Well, I would have thought there had been senators down there debating right and left for 30 hours. No, not a single senator came to the floor. Schumer just used this to hold up the business of the Senate for 30 hours. I wound up getting confirmed 86-12. That's not a controversial outcome, as you know. Mm-hmm. But it cost me 4 months. 4 months when Kim Jong-un was launching rockets over Japan. 4 months when the Chinese were in the East China Sea, the South China Sea. When I got there, we finally got that calmed down. We finally moved things along. But Chuck Schumer was willing to make the United States and its allies suffer just to frustrate Donald Trump's efforts to govern. And it's gotten even worse in this administration. So we need to change the rules. We need to stop this cloture process. We're working on a number of options right now to address this. But this has been absolutely ridiculous. The Schumer shutdown that is taking place on our administration is unprecedented. And we've got to change the rules, I think, to stop allowing Schumer to misuse the procedural rules of the Senate to this end. Again, his goal obviously is to keep Trump from ever being able to govern because he wants to keep Trump from putting his team on the field. To the blue slips, that's a different issue. That's not a rule. It doesn't require a rule change. It's just a custom here in the Senate, and the custom being that you want to clear with the home state senators, the people that you're going to put in a position for judges and for U.S. attorneys. That's been a system of protocol, if you will, here. It's been an accommodation that helps home state senators have some influence over what happens. Schumer, again, is using this to block whomever Trump puts up. I was talking with President Trump about this just 2 days ago. One of my friends, one of his, Jay Clayton, is up for the 2nd District in New York. Jay is one of the finest attorneys in America, complete Boy Scout. Schumer is using the blue slip process, to hold him up. Trump said to me, if I can't get Jay Clayton through, I'm never going to get anybody through. We need to just blow this up. And I agree with him. This is ridiculous. It means that we'll never put a U.S. attorney or a judge into a blue state as long as Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are basically using this to resist again. The American public didn't vote for this. They don't want to see it, and I think it's time to change it.
Senator, I know that one of your passions is foreign policy and what is going on the world stage. I've got a question for you coming up about a Truth Social post that the president directed towards one Xi Jinping. And I know that neither one of us are fans of China. Details straight ahead. Very quickly, time to check the roads on WTN. (746). Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, and Senator Bill Hagerty is joining us. And so in the news overnight, I'm sure you probably saw it, but you've got Xi Jinping having his big military parade with, all of their military apparatus. With him was Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. And so clearly a sign of unity amongst America's enemies. And so Donald Trump posts this on Truth Social, asking Xi Jinping to please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think what he's trying to do is point out the fact, the ingratitude, if you will, of Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party. Were it not for the U.S. involvement, World War II would not have been brought to the resolution that it was. Japan would be controlling China right now. And I think they have a very short memory when it comes to the fact that the United States has delivered more independence, more freedom, and more prosperity to the world than anybody else ever has imagined. And what you've got are, this gang of hoodlums that are getting together, led by Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un. The Iranian, leader was there as well. I think Reagan called this part of the axis of evil. They're all there conspiring, I'm sure, as President Trump said. They ought to remember the fact that were it not for the United States, China would not be in a position to host this in any regard. They wouldn't be there as a nation.
Senator, let me ask you one last question here. I know that our time is limited, but give me your opinion on Donald Trump taking out that Venezuelan drug boat that was making its way towards our shores, taking out apparently a bunch of drugs and 11 drug-dealing Venezuelans, probably gang members. Your thoughts on this? You got some people in the news saying, oh, this is a major escalation. And I would say, well, it's about time.
Dan, we're losing 3,000 children a year in Tennessee to drug overdoses. Where is it coming from? It's coming from China through places like Venezuela and their partners across the Mexican border. It's coming by water. We've got the border secure. Now what they're doing is they're using the waterways. President Trump is not going to tolerate it. He said it. He imposed 25% tariffs on both Canada and Mexico to try to stop it. He's imposed maximum tariffs on China to try to stop it. And now he's taken to the waterways to stop these criminals from killing our children. So it is about time. I agree with you, and I think the American public can see right through the Democrats squealing. This isn't a major escalation. This is actually an effort to address this while Joe Biden stood alongside and watched literally hundreds of thousands of Americans die to drug overdoses because he was willing to do that to allow the border to be flooded by all of these people that came in.
All right, Senator, as always, great to have you on, and looking forward to speaking to you again soon. It is coming up on 7:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line, by the way, is very, very busy. Going to get to some of those as well as the morning continues to progress. Now, you've heard Joan talking about the release of some Epstein documents. We've had some movement on that. I spoke about that overnight on Red Eye Radio, and I love that we are seemingly seeing some movement on this. And one of the things that they're trying to do there in the House of Representatives is they're trying to get a vote on releasing all of the documents, all of the files, all of the pictures. You've got Ro Khanna and also Thomas Massie, Democrat and a Republican, respectively, trying to get this vote passed. And if so, then it is apparently binding, and they would be required to release all of these documents. And so coming up, and that's happening in the House of Representatives, so coming up, I'm going to speak to Scott Desjardins. I'm going to find out what his opinion is from the Congressman. So all that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is 7:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And Joan Jones has the news coming up at 8 o'clock. Joan.
Yeah, Venezuela's leader is responding now to President Trump's targeting of a drug vessel in the Caribbean. And Metro Nashville police say they found the guy who crashed a car in downtown, but he was naked. So we've got that story, too, coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, but was he drunk? That's what I want to know. Was he naked and drunk? Because if you're drunk, you have an excuse to being naked.
You do?
Well, running around the streets of Nashville, yeah.
I'd like to see the next time you get drunk then. Or maybe I don't want to see that.
No, you don't want nobody, not even my wife wants to see that. Anyway, moving right along. Dan Mandis here, 7:51, and let me tell you about the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I'm so grateful to the Wellness Institute of Nashville because they helped me with my chronic back and neck pain. They can help you as well, and right now, it's going to be cheaper. That's right. Right now, they've got a great deal going on, $12. Yeah, only $12 for a comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. $12. Call this phone number right now to get started, 615-246-5009. If you have back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, they can help you at the Wellness Institute of Nashville with their state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression. No surgery, no spinal injections, and no painkillers. Call them to get started. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Painisbad.com. 7:56 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here. Now, we do have Congressman Scott DesJarlais. He is going to be coming up at about 8:06 on Super Talk 99.7. Got a lot that I want to speak to the congressman about. You know who was on that Abby Phillips show with Scott Jennings? I think this was yesterday. You know who was on there?
Who?
Ben Shapiro.
Oh, yeah, I heard this.
So a couple of things. Number one, and I got to move it over. So you know that Shapiro, he's now got like a stash, like a mustache. And I don't know, but it kind of looks like what people would call a porn stash.
Porn stash, yeah.
I mean, look at the Super Talk TV. That kind of looks like I love Ben Shapiro. I really do. I have the utmost respect for him. I think he looks good in the mustache. It just, it looks like one of those. But anyway, he had a great point as he is talking to Abby Phillip about the fact that Donald Trump has the ability, and I was speaking to Brian Wilson about this too, Donald Trump has the ability to be like the puppet master for the Democrats. It is amazing. And so I want to play this piece of audio. They're talking about Chicago, and they're talking about, Donald Trump, and is he going to send the National Guard to Chicago, so on and so forth. But listen to what Ben Shapiro had to say about all of this, because I think it's, he's really punctuating what we've all said.
Minimum. And you saw the Obama administration declare national emergencies, something like 12 national emergencies under President Obama, something like 9 under Joe Biden. Now you've had President Trump declare a wide variety of national emergencies. This isn't a unilateral problem. I think it is a bilateral problem. With that said, I think that we should separate a few strands here. One is the legal that Eli was talking about. One of the other things here, though, is I think what Van was referring to, which is President Trump does have a habit of wrong-footing his political opponents in a unique way on this sort of stuff. There were 574 murders in Chicago last year. And you can make the argument, I think a plausible argument, that National Guard troops should not be on the ground enforcing crime, both legally and just as a matter of general policy. But if the position you end up taking is that there is no serious crime emergency in Chicago on a rhetorical level, not on a legal level, on a rhetorical level, or you make the case that actually crime in Chicago just isn't that big of a deal, which seems to be the mistake that many Democratic politicians are making right now, Trump is going to win that battle all day long.
Yes.
I mean, I hear you, but I also think there is the rhetorical level, which we could focus on. But I mean, I also want to focus on the reality, like the actual things that are happening.
And what's interesting, Joan, is she's kind of trying to refute Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And when she says, I want to focus on the reality, well, that's what Ben Shapiro is saying.
Exactly, yes.
What Donald Trump is saying is that the reality is that what is going on in Chicago is people are dying. And Donald Trump wants to save lives, and it would appear that Let's Go Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, and J.D. Pritzker, the governor for Illinois, they don't seem to care that there's a lot of people that are dying, and a lot of those are black people. And yet nobody is, rising in the streets and saying that their policies of not wanting to stop crime is racist. They should say it, all say it, but apparently the media and folks there in Chicago simply will not. All right, coming up next, Congressman Scott DesJarlais. It is 8 o'clock on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Right now, it's 66 degrees, a few clouds, but it's going to warm up considerably today, too, and we may have some rain. You'll want to stick around for the forecast right after the news. 11 Tren de Aragua gang members on board a drug-carrying vessel are dead. They were the target of a U.S. strike. ABC's Lionel Moisey.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, heading to Mexico and Ecuador to focus on immigration and crime, was asked whether more attacks like this are expected.
No one should be surprised. That's why they're there on a counter-drug mission, and they're going to continue to operate. As far as specifics and future operations, I have to refer you to the Pentagon on that.
Observers saying the move could be an attempt to undermine Maduro's regime, hurting profits from the drug trade.
That's Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro has threatened to respond with an armed fight. Well, deporting those Tren de Aragua members who do make it to the shores of the U.S. just got a little tougher. A federal appeals court ruled against President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act, which allows the president to remove citizens of an enemy country during an invasion or predatory incursion. The court found there is no invasion or incursion. The Trump administration has already deported hundreds of accused Tren de Aragua gang members earlier this year using that act, sending some of them to the Supermax prison in El Salvador. President Trump is also taking his fight to use tariffs to the nation's highest court.
The president is saying that he is going to ask the Supreme Court as soon as today to overturn a federal appeals court decision that found many of his punishing tariffs were illegal, saying he's going to ask them for an expedited ruling. Trump claims that the U.S. economy will suffer if he's not allowed to impose these tariffs and wage his trade war, but the federal appeals court found that the president greatly overstepped his authorities.
That's ABC's Mary Bruce. A man was arrested last night in downtown Nashville as he was trying to break into vehicles. News 2's Peyton Kennedy tells us he had been driving a car that crashed not far away.
Search found marijuana, cocaine, and 2 pistols inside the vehicle. And about 20 minutes later, authorities say they were alerted to a man running around Ewing Street naked, attempting to get into people's vehicles. Officers detained the man, who they say is a convicted felon.
But they didn't say what his name was. Country music fans have something to check out this fall. It's a corn maze that celebrates Lainey Wilson.
Featuring yours truly. So get ready for a whirlwind of fun and come on out to the farm and get a little lost in the maze with your friends and your family.
Yeah, that tribute corn maze is set to open on September 27th at the Honeysuckle Hill Farm in Springfield. You can see what that corn maze will look like. I posted a photo of it to my X account. You can find me there at Joan Jones WTN. Market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. The Dow futures right now have dropped a bit. We're down 111, but the NASDAQ futures are up 150. S&P futures, they're plus 21. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
This is massive. This is Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is nearly 4 decades of fighting in the region. Both leaders of each nation are coming here to the White House.
For more than 35 years, Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought a bitter conflict that resulted in tremendous suffering for both nations. They suffered gravely for so many years. Many tried to find a resolution, including the European Union. The Russians worked very hard on it, never happened. Sleepy Joe Biden tried, but you know what happened there? He tried for probably 12 minutes and didn't work out.
Have you seen this done with any other president, the way he's leveraging the economy and trade?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is 7 peace deals in 7 months, and it's unbelievable. I mean, President Trump is the only guy who can come together and do it. He can do it right.
Well, the traffic map is quite colorful this morning. We've got accidents all over the place, including 24 westbound at Hickory Hollow Parkway, exit 60 with the right shoulder blocked off, and that's a huge delay this morning. One in Inglewood on Gallatin Pike at Hart Lane, a crash in East Nashville, Dickerson Pike at Queen Avenue, Sylvan Heights, an accident at Charlotte Avenue and 37th Avenue North. Now, also in Antioch Pike at Franklin Limestone Road, that's the scene of a crash. And also in Antioch, it's Stewart's Make That Preston Road at Edenwood Drive. And then in Clover Hill, Stewart's Ferry Pike at Lauer Drive, another scene of an accident this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here. When it goes straight to the Newsmaker Hotline and say hello to Congressman Scott DesJarlais. Congressman, how you doing? You're in Washington, D.C., I assume. And I just had Senator Bill Hagerty in the previous hour, and I did ask for his opinion on what Washington, D.C. is looking like these days. I have not had you on in a while, and I don't think I've had you on since the National Guard went into Washington, D.C. So can you tell a big difference between the Washington, D.C. before the National Guard and then after the National Guard?
I haven't had a chance to venture out too far from the Hill. You usually only had to go about 2 blocks to start seeing people who obviously were using drugs laying on the sidewalks, interfering with people, trying to have outdoor dinners or lunches. And so I haven't really had an opportunity to venture far from the Capitol, but you didn't have to go but a couple blocks to start seeing, the problem exists. So I don't know what Senator Hagerty had to say. Maybe he's looked around a little more, but something definitely needed to be done.
Do you ever go outside the Capitol, Congressman, or are you just like that, your little, 2-block area that you just refuse to go out from?
Well, it's not that I refuse to. It's just that when we're here, we're busy, and there's not a lot of time to sightsee and get around to the other areas. So pretty much when we're here, we're working.
All right. So big in the news today, and I got to make sure that I ask you this. Of course, the battle over Epstein does continue. And you've got Thomas Massie, Republican, Ro Khanna, Democrat, and they had this meeting. Nancy Mace, of course, famously walking out of that meeting in tears with some of these Epstein survivors, if you will, some of these victims that, So I guess my question is, they are trying to get this discharge petition passed so that they will ultimately end up demanding the release of these Epstein files. That is something that goes through the House. So what are your thoughts on all of this? I mean, they already released some. James Comer already released some files. A lot of these were files and photos that, many people have already seen. As a matter of fact, the 2 congressmen that I just mentioned came out last night and said, well, only about 3% of those 34,000 documents were actually new. And so I guess the question is, if this discharge petition actually happens, how will you vote? And just give me your thoughts on the whole thing.
Well, first of all, a discharge petition is a tool of the minority. So you're giving the minority the power. You get a handful of Republicans, and all the Democrats will jump on because they love to see Republican infighting. I still beg the question, when Biden was in control and they controlled the House, the Senate,
in the White House, if there was something in there against Trump, knowing he was going to run again, they would have released it. So I don't think, I think people would be really disappointed if they released all the documents. I think the big concern right now is that for some of the victims, the exposure that they would be subjected to would be a problem. I think anybody that committed a crime, I don't care if it's Trump, Clinton, whoever, if Pam Bondi has that information, I've made this statement before, they need to be prosecuted if they willingly engaged in illegal activity with underage girls, then, you know, by all means, every one of those people should be prosecuted. But when you release entire sets of documents, you get guilt by association where people, you know, didn't really do anything, maybe just happened to be in the same room with the guy, and then they have to somehow prove that they're not a pedophile. And so you got to protect the victims. You can create a lot of problems for people who just happen to have a loose association with the guy. But I also think that Pam Bondi and Trump overplayed their hand during the campaign. They acted like, okay, we got the goods right here. And, you know, when I'm president, we're going to release these things and, you know, everybody's going to see them. And then all of a sudden afterwards, well, it was a suicide and there is no list. And so I think that because they misplayed that, they've created this turmoil here, and the Democrats are just jumping on it because they see some division among the Republican ranks, and they just want to stir that as much as they can.
Well, and Thomas Massie, of course, is a Republican, but he's an anti-Trump Republican. So in this case, he's giving the Democrats and the media the ability to say that this is a bipartisan effort, when in reality, Thomas Massie, I don't know. I mean, you spend more time with him than I do, Congressman Scott Desjardins. But is Thomas Massie, he's anti-Trump? I mean, is there anything that he's ever agreed with Trump on?
He's probably the person, I came in the same class with him in 2011. He votes no on almost everything. You know, Rand Paul in the Senate is similar. His dad, Ron Paul, was kind of an isolationist. Tom's a libertarian, and so he votes like a libertarian, not really a Republican, not necessarily a team player. He is sometimes. He's a nice guy. I mean, I've always considered him a friend, but now that he's kind of gotten into this feud with Trump, it's almost like the Liz Cheney or the Adam Kinzinger thing, where they're just going at each other. You know, Trump's threatening to, well, not just threatening, you know, trying to actively get rid of him in terms of the next election. And so there's this feud going on, and Tom's a really smart guy. I mean, he's very well educated, but he just, you know, does not vote. He's not a team player.
President Trump is going to be sending, I'm hesitating because I don't have a lot of time before traffic. So coming up, Congressman Scott Desjardins, I'm going to ask you about the president sending U.S. Space Command to Huntsville, Alabama. This is right up your alley, and we're going to talk about that straight ahead. It is coming up on 8:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Very good. As far as your weather for today, intervals of cloud and sun with a thunderstorm possible, and a high of about 84. Going to feel like 90, about 55% of showers. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Congressman Scott Desjardins is joining us. And so I think this is great. Obviously, I enjoy, space stuff. And the president sending a U.S. Space Command to Huntsville, Alabama, even though I do believe it's pretty clear that there were politics involved. The president actually admitted as such. But I think this is a great thing for Alabama.
Yeah, there's no question there's politics involved. The only thing I'm disappointed in is they didn't put it in Tennessee at Arnold Air Force Base, but I'm not going to complain because it's close enough. But, no, they did a study. They looked at 6 different states. 6 different locations is where Space Command would best be suited to function with the most efficiency. And far and away, Huntsville was chosen as the number 1 choice. Colorado was the number 5 choice. Trump wanted to put it in Huntsville where it was supposed to go. Of course, Alabama's a red state. Colorado, I could say it's purple. It's pretty much a blue state now. And General, I think Dickinson and Biden kind of just pulled the rug out from under Huntsville and said, we're putting it in Colorado Springs. And it was a real kick in the teeth at the time because, I mean, we were prepared for it. We have the infrastructure there. The Redstone Arsenal is there. The Marshall Space Center's there. It just makes a lot of sense. We had probably 7,000 to 8,000 people from my district that travel to Huntsville to work at one of those facilities. It's expected to bring in 30,000 new jobs or at least families. Huntsville's already become the largest city in Alabama. It's about to become larger. And, nothing's done till it's done. But this needs to happen. It's how it was supposed to happen. And it's a great thing for Huntsville. It's a great thing for America. And, of course, Space Command and all that falls under my subcommittee of strategic forces. So everything I do involves Golden Dome, involves space, involves sensors, missiles, missile defense, and this is all going to be a big part of that. And so I'm really excited from my position as chairman on that committee to get to work with these guys and start getting the Golden Dome in place. And it's an hour and 20 minutes from where I live, so it's going to be really convenient. And again, it was the first choice.
Yeah, I was going to mention, I mean, that's a lot closer to home, and you can drive there, and I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing for tourism as well for the South. All right, so real quick, you just mentioned a number of different things related to rockets and missiles and all that. So you know the story, perhaps you know the story. I'm sure that you know the story of I've talked about it a number of different times because I think this is fascinating, where China had the big military parade. They've got all of their rockets out there, and it's supposed to be a very big deal. And Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, I guess Senator Hagerty said that Iran's leader was out there as well. And how concerned are you with, they said that they have reports are that there's a laser that can shut off electronics and blind pilots. I mean, from your vantage point, who's got the better stuff, us or China?
Okay, China is formidable. There's no question about it, and that's why we're stepping up our game. That's why Space Command is so important.
Yep.
If you cannot win on the ground in a future war without winning in space. So whoever controls the space domain will control the ground. All the fancy high-tech weaponry that we have is controlled by communicating from space, and so that's why we're spending so much time and focus on that. I think that China was rapidly catching us. They had just a handful of satellites in space. They've got a bunch now. By 2030, they could have as many or more. Not necessarily better, but you need a lot of redundancy. So the battles that are going on in space would surprise people in terms of defeating other countries' satellites. I think right now we have the edge. We have the technology. We have a lot of upstart companies that we're aligning with, and I feel good about where we're at, but we cannot take our foot off the gas. This has to go full steam ahead, and that's what we're doing in my committee and doing in Armed Services in both the House and Senate, and speeding up the acquisition process. But don't underestimate China. And, this little axis of evil that's forming with Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia, and now India. Modi's kind of stepped in and said, well, I think we're going to play with Russia and China. And I think that's just kind of a move against Trump's tariffs, I hope, and because we don't need that. But, I think we're better. I think China could surpass us if we don't stay vigilant. But if we stay vigilant and do what America does and bring in the right people, I think we'll stay ahead, and we just kind of proved we could do something that none of them could do with the attack on Iran's nuclear facility. I mean, they don't have that capability, and that was the B-2. We're about to get the B-21.
Yep.
Well, I won't say it makes the B-2 look like a toy, but it's superior, and they know that, so they're putting on a big show and trying to show that they're going to be the people that control the world, not Trump. And I don't necessarily think we want to control the world, but we don't want World War III. And best way for that is just keep it from happening. Peace through strength.
So I'm going to call an audible here because I was going to ask you about government, funding. The deadline is September 30th, and do you think that is going to end up in a continuing resolution? But I just saw on CNN that I don't want to ask you that because it's boring. But I think we all know what's going to happen. But I just saw on CNN there's all these calls for RFK Jr. to resign. Now, you know where he stands on, vaccines. And one of the things that he has said in the last couple of days is that he believes that all vaccines should go through the proper testing, including, I guess they call it, placebo testing, that kind of thing. And so I think people are up in arms over the fact that he is, and there's a lot here, so I'm not going to pretend that there's not a bunch of layers to this. But, I mean, you're a medical doctor. And so I guess my question to you is when it comes to RFK Jr., what do you think about everything that he is saying about, vaccines, the testing of vaccines, taking away that the ability to once again throw down a mandate for vaccines, which he did. I think it was last week or Monday he did that. But I mean, I think that he's definitely making a move against the pharmaceutical industry.
He may be. I think he's right about some things. I think he's half off the rails on a lot of other things. I can say some nice things about him. I can say some things as a position that I don't think he has background to make the claims. I think some of it's conspiracy. I have mixed feelings about him. I think his intentions are good. I do think there's a lot of health issues that are happening in our country, younger people getting cancers and whatnot. And is that steroids growing chickens too fast? Is it, different dyes and additives to foods? Who knows? Those are the things, we really need to look at. He's always had a thing about vaccine and causing autism. And as a physician, I've not seen a proof where, not vaccinating our kids against polio and measles, mumps and rubella and diphtheria and meningitis is a bad thing. I think that's I think his process or his thinking on that maybe needs a little more work. But I'm not a fan of mandates. I don't like the government telling me I have to do anything. And the COVID is the obvious example where healthy young people were forced to take shots. They lost their jobs over it, and a lot of people had ill effects from that. So I don't think when the government starts mandating that, that's pretty much communism, not democracy or a republic. So long-winded answer, but like I said, I think his intentions are good. I think he's right about some things. I think a lot of other things that he's proposing need a lot more ironing out.
All right. Do you think just very quickly, will the House reach an agreement on a spending plan, or is it going to be a continuing resolution? A yes or no is fine, whatever.
I mean, it's always a continuing resolution. There's going to be a debt ceiling. We don't want a government shutdown. Tom Cole's already talking about a stopgap measure, pushing it into November. September 30th is the deadline. Give us more time. And basically that means more time for another CR. The budget in D.C., as we've known for a couple decades now, has been a disaster. The spending's out of control. They can't get it together. When it comes to that, Congress does not get its job done. And so, my guess is, you got omnibus, cromnibus, CRs, whatever. None of us like them. It's just unfortunately the way it operates in such a divided government, because if we get what we want, that means the Democrats aren't getting what they want for their social program. And so the only way that it somehow works out is that it's a very bipartisan thing, and they would give probably too much away for me to vote for it. But so if there's Democrats voting for this, I'd probably be voting against it because it wouldn't be conservative enough in terms of spending. And if it's conservative enough to suit my taste, the Democrats won't vote for it. So, there's probably going to be some kind of a CR or it's just the way the cycle has been, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, Congressman Scott DesJarlais, always appreciate having you on, and have a great rest of week. It is 8:25, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones is here in the WTN Newsroom. Joan, what do we got coming up?
Hey there, Dan. An attack on a pedestrian bridge here in Nashville, and now police are asking for your help finding the suspects. And If you're an Amazon Prime member, gotta watch it. Things are about to change. All of that and more coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. It is 8:26 now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN Window Nation. Listen, if you've got old, drafty windows, maybe they're cheap, builder-grade windows, right now is the best time to replace your windows with my window company, Window Nation. They have put 4, that's right, count them, 4 windows in my home, and this is a great company. Protect your home ahead of the fall and winter weather. Get replacement windows from Window Nation. Get top quality, energy efficient windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price. Now, they've got a great deal going on, but before I tell you about that, let me tell you about their lifetime warranty on all of their windows. So you can relax knowing that your home is protected far into the future. And right now, we got a big sale going on right now, a big special. You buy 2 windows, you are going to get 2 for free. So buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. Make no payments for 2 years. You won't have to deal with monthly payments, a down payment, or interest until 2027. Now, remember, Window Nation has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and over 45,000 5-star reviews. So if you're even thinking about getting new windows as an investment for your home, you've got to check out my friends at Window Nation. That phone number is 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION. This sale does end on September 30th. Find them online. It is windownation.com.
Good morning. It's now 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 24 westbound drivers is a mess this morning. It starts at Almaville Road, runs all the way up into the city. It is heavy volume and lots of problems involved there, so you may take a few extra moments to get to work. Same thing for 65 northbound, running slow all the way from Spring Hill into Nashville. You got an accident in Sylvan Heights on Charlotte Avenue at 37th. Also 24 eastbound at Old Fort Parkway, exit 78 in Murfreesboro. An accident's been reported in that area. In the news, we're returning to some hot weather today, and then tomorrow we could see some heavy rain, according to Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro.
Could toss a thunderstorm in there with a gusty wind. And remember, the ground is so dry that if you get a heavy downpour, it runs off before it gets absorbed by the ground. So there could be some flash flooding in some areas.
And the full forecast is coming up. The search is on for the 4 people who used guns to attack 3 people on the Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge early Sunday morning. Here's Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
They pointed guns at the victims, and a rifle was even used to hit one in the face. He was rushed to the hospital, and then another victim was struck in the head, and a third was punched in the head.
The suspects were seen taking off in a gray Chrysler 300. Now, if you want to see these guys, I posted the photos of 3 of the suspects to my X account. It's at Joan Jones WTN, and if you recognize them, call Nashville Crime Stoppers. Bad news for Amazon users. Starting October 1st, you will no longer be allowed to share your free shipping benefits with people outside of your household. Instead, Amazon's offering a program called Amazon Family that allows you to share Prime benefits with one other adult, but that adult has to share the same address as you. Amazon says everyone else must sign up for their own Prime membership, so things are changing. We've got the latest here on the stock market as things begin trading, and it looks like the Dow Jones Industrials are down 42. NASDAQ begins the day 161 points higher, and we've got the S&P 500 index up 27. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here with a question for you. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask. You've been hearing me talk about this for a long time, but there's a reason why I keep talking about this, because it is important and I don't want you to get ripped off. Now, some insurance companies, they will refuse to pay full replacement cost. They're going to deduct money for an older roof, and that means that the insurance company is depreciating how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, they are going to pay you less. So, how old is your roof? And you need to know what your policy is in case it gets destroyed, because you could end up on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King and Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they will pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King and Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Call them at 615-329-8121, 615-329-8121. Get your Royal Review, tkinginsurance.com.
So slow on 24 westbound this morning. It looks like it's just heavy volume. It's all the way from Smyrna up to the city. If you're traveling eastbound on Ford, make that westbound on 40. Into Nashville, you've got delays this morning all the way back to South Mount Juliet Road area. Things are really a mess this morning on 24. Eastbound side in Joelton. Been a mess all morning long. There's an accident at Whites Creek Pike now. Also one in Charlotte Avenue and 37th Avenue North. And then eastbound 24 in Murfreesboro. That's an accident at Old Fort Parkway exit 78. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Guns and hoses, eh?
Isn't that roses?
It's guns and hoses, eh? Taking me down to the Quebec City, eh?
Oh, I see.
Whatever. It's 8:39. I tried to be funny, and it fell flat.
I didn't get the guns and hoses thing.
It's I think is it Bob and Doug McKenzie? No, it's not them. Somewhere, somehow, I heard a joke about Guns N' Roses, but they made it into like you would know this, Chris, because you're Canadian. They made it into
here we go.
Some sort of a Canadian joke, and they made it Guns and Hoses.
Okay.
I may have made that whole thing up. It may have been a dream. I don't even really know.
Maybe.
To be perfectly honest.
Are you having too much ZQL? Is that what's going on?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I noticed there's a half-drunk bottle here when I walk into the studio of ZQL.
Is that what's going on this morning? Now it makes
Welcome back,
sense.
Joan, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Isn't it great to hear Joan Jones?
Do you have any idea how fearful the audience was that we lost you forever, Joan?
I should have posted some cryptic messages about being fired or whatever.
You should have.
Yeah.
When one door closes, another one opens. Just be all cryptic like that. Just start messing with the audience.
Right.
It was a good run.
I'm spending more time with my family. Yeah.
It was a good run. It was more like a jog, but that's okay. No, I do have ZQL. Thank you for calling me out.
But why are you bringing that into work?
All right, so here's the deal.
I'm very interested in this.
Well, I was on from midnight until right now. Red Eye Radio overnight, and I'm doing this show now.
A normal person wouldn't need the drugs to help them sleep after that.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Right.
I also have another show from 11 to 2 this morning into the afternoon, 11 a to 2 p.m. So I've actually gotten a hotel room next door where I will be drinking the ZQL because once I get off at 2, I've got to be back up at about, 8 o'clock or so that I can begin preparing for Red Eye at midnight. The only way, because you ever get so tired, guys, that
you can't
fall asleep?
Yes.
So that's what this is. When I show you this bottle tomorrow, Chris, the entire bottle will be empty. That's how much ZQL I will no doubt be drinking.
He got a 6-pack of those. Just taking to the hotel with him.
That's exactly
I feel
right.
like this is an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah? You feel like the ZQL?
I'm worried about you.
It helps me sleep. It does. Because when I number one, I'm going to bed at an odd time.
Okay.
Right? And I'm going to bed in an odd place, in a hotel across the street. And Joan she can relate. There are times when you are so tired that you cannot fall asleep. So that's what the ZQL is for.
Okay.
It's working.
That's right, Joe.
So
It's working.
I just looked up long-term side effects of ZQL.
Of course you did.
Brain fog.
Tolerance and dependence is number 1.
Yeah.
What is it?
Tolerance and dependence is number 1.
Okay.
Which, by you saying you're going to drink a half a bottle, I feel like we're already there.
Perhaps.
Number 2.
Don't judge me.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not. I'm just looking. We're just doing this for science. Number 2. Number 2, cognitive effects.
What?
cognitive effects.
Come on, man.
Linked to memory problems, confusion, and slower reaction times, especially in older adults.
Wow. Did you hear what he just did?
I'm just reading.
I've got hot tea, and I'm going to throw it at you, man.
I'm just reading. Long-term use has been associated in some studies with an increased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease.
Is that why I keep calling Joan? What do I keep calling you? Jane.
Jane.
Is that why I keep calling Jane, Joan, John?
Anticholinergic effects.
What is that?
Dry mouth, constipation, blurred vision, urinary retention.
Wow.
Any of these ringing bells, Dan?
No. Not that I would admit, anyway.
Heart concerns. Irregular heartbeats or palpitations in some individuals.
All right, so you know what? I think this
there's only two more. There's only two more. Liver or kidney strain.
Yes.
And masking underlying issues. This is the one we need to highlight.
Can I just say that my issues are not masked? Everybody knows what my issues are.
That's fair. Reliance on ZQL may hide sleep disorders like sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, or depression, anxiety.
Wait,
that
restless
needs direct
legs,
treatment.
restless leg syndrome?
Yeah.
Have you ever known anyone to have that?
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, it's awful.
My dad had it.
What is it?
Have you ever taken like a Unisom and you just can't stop moving your legs? This is why I can't take this sleeping stuff. My legs are just like bouncing in the bed.
I may have, in one crazy trip to Las Vegas with my wife, I may have taken something that gave me just that. And I don't remember how long it took, but I mean, my leg was going crazy. I didn't know that was actually a thing.
Yeah, and the memory part too.
My
that's
lost weekend.
One of the effects as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
What's your name again? But here's the thing, though.
And when he adds slippery elm to it all,
I know it's a
I was gonna
cocktail
say,
for confusion.
off the charts.
What do you do when you mix slippery elm and ZQL? I don't know, man. So
sure, AI has a solution for you.
What's that?
If you ask AI what what the effects are of those two.
I think it leads to things like this.
And I'm trying to put it in, and I just can't get it in. There's always a soundbite, isn't there?
There's always.
There's just
always,
they've
always
all these
a soundbite.
all these. Do you know what I think it is?
Sam never forgets.
I think that take some ZQL, Sam. It'll help you forget. Apparently.
That's number 2.
Prefer my memory-based products to come from a distillery if it's going to make me lose my mind.
All these producers, like they not so secretly hate me, and they've got all their little sound bites that they can pull up at a moment's notice, and that's what they do. I would love a piece of that wood. You know what? That's totally unfair. Because, I mean, clearly these are taken obviously out of context. But I don't know what I said when that.
I don't know.
I would love a piece of that wood. Wow. Hey. Yeah, that's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Do you know what just occurred to me, though? During each and every one of those really lame sound bites, especially that one, I remember that. I was on Slippery Elm.
Yep.
So maybe that's what's happening with me is Slippery Elm makes you, say really dumb, silly things. It also, Slippery Elm, I would say, impairs your judgment. Because I, honest to goodness, thought when I did that hey thing.
You thought you nailed it.
I did. I thought I nailed it because I was talking about, I forget, it was something about the Breakfast Club.
Yep.
And it was like an anniversary or something. And so Ken and Johnny are there. And I try to give them a hint as to, name this movie.
That's a great radio tease.
And Ken didn't even know what to say. I remember I'm tearing up. It was so funny. Because Ken was speechless.
See,
he was like,
I just do the news, brother Dan.
Oh, that was so funny. God, man.
All of your buttons in here are highlighted yellow.
Are they really?
Specifically, Dan said it.
Churn the butter. Okay, why don't we just go ahead? How many do you have? I don't remember why he was up there. How many comes to a Creeching Skull?
Yep, that's a fave of mine.
A Creeching Skull.
Nothing will ever beat.
I would love a piece of that wood.
It's pretty good.
That is good. I don't. I don't know why I would ever say that I would love a piece of.
Were you endorsing a hardwood floor company?
No, not that I know of. I've endorsed a lot of companies. I have no idea about that. But anyway, that's funny. How was your drive in?
It was a pain.
Was it?
Well, you know, it's like I'm back dealing with Joan Jones on traffic, so it's like you get limited information. You really got to guess. You really got to guess. You know.
How many times can I say 24 is a mess and Chris is going to be late?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris walked in at I think the theme was playing.
The traffic had just ended.
The traffic had just ended.
Yeah.
So, but like any good, courteous employee, you gave yourself plenty of time.
I did.
And you give yourself an extra, what is it?
I leave at 6:50 every day.
What?
You leave at 6:50 to get here at 8:30?
Yep. Every day, and it's just a roll of the dice. If I'm late, I'm late, but I leave at the same time every day.
And it's 24.
It's 24. Today I went 8:40 to 65 because...
And then you got to drive through, like...
65's a mess, too.
Franklin.
Yeah, 65's awful. Well, you're rolling the dice, too. It's like, okay, I could save 10 minutes going 8:40 to 65, but there's 30 extra miles of road where something could happen.
Yeah.
So you're playing a game of Russian roulette.
I'm so glad I work mornings.
A robo-taxi.
I need a tunnel from Murfreesboro
Whoa.
directly here.
Yeah.
If only we knew somebody who drills tunnels.
If only.
Elon Musk, get in contact with Elon and tell him that, you know.
I saw a story where somebody was talking about a tunnel from Murfreesboro to Nashville.
If there's, and people who have to travel 65 every day going to yell at me, but whatever. Murfreesboro to Nashville, that tunnel needs to happen. That needs to happen because 24, I don't think you can expand it anymore because then
There's
you're
stuff on
going
both
to.
sides. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden.
I have an idea. How about if they stop building in Murfreesboro? Like, honestly, all they
idea,
do
too.
is buy up all the farmlands and build more developments. Just stop.
It's a good idea, too, Joan.
Yeah.
Stop. We're full. Find another
Spring Hill
county.
does the same darn thing. That's why I left Spring Hill. My first year in Nashville, in Middle Tennessee, I lived in Spring Hill, and I could not get out of there fast enough. It's like they build and they build and they build, and the traffic is just so mind-bogglingly horrible that I moved. I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
I said, family, we're picking up and we're moving to Franklin, where the traffic also sucked. So then I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Mount Juliet, and Mount Juliet is great. Like, don't tell anybody, because we don't want anybody, to come to Mount Juliet because the traffic is actually not bad. It's only until you get it like into Donaldson and heading towards downtown that it gets really bad. So yeah, don't come to Mount Juliet. We're full.
Yeah, Murfreesboro's full too, just for the record.
Stay out of Coffee County.
Same with Robertson.
We're so welcoming here on Nashville's Morning News, aren't we?
There's a lot of
I hear great things about Cheatham, Sumner.
I hear nice things about White House. Go for
Yeah,
that.
White House, go north.
But the Sumner side, not the Robertson side of White
I
House.
hear fabulous things about Kentucky.
Wow.
cheap real estate in Kentucky, honestly.
People who live in Murfreesboro, you knew, Chris, when you moved to Murfreesboro that 24 is Satan's highway.
It's funny you mentioned that because when we moved to Murfreesboro, my conversation with the wife was, I'm never going to have to drive to Nashville every day.
Did you really?
I swear to you.
Oh, that is so funny because you were a stay-at-home dad.
I was staying at home. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I miss it.
How's that working? How's that working out for you?
I didn't know what I had till it was gone.
All right. I'm trying to figure out who's that band. Don't know what you got till. Who's that band? It's a hair band. Sam, you must know. Don't know what you got till it's gone? I know it's not Guns N' Hoses.
Full circle.
You see what I did there? I brought it all the way back. It's not Poison.
I think it might be Poison.
It's not Poison. If only all of us had a device that we could look it up. Cinderella. Thank you, Joan.
Ready?
See, Joan knows.
Oh, they're going to play a commercial first.
They always do that.
Yeah.
Well, so does WTN, so it's all good. It is 8:52. I'm saying, somebody. It's funny. Somebody on the super text line said I was in a bad mood. I was grumpy today.
You were a bit of a grump?
I'm not grumpy. Not at all.
Am I allowed to play this?
Oh,
Or are we
yeah.
going to get in trouble?
I don't know. You know what? If I'm getting written up all the time, Joan, you've got to be an official member of the morning show. You need to get written up as much as I do.
It's true.
It's what happens.
Yeah.
You
I'm
are
like,
the, you
wow,
are
this
the
is
company.
really
You are
awful.
the company you keep.
I'm like, what are you going to do? Demote me? Anyway, it is. I got to go. 8:53.
Hey, no hard feelings, bud.
Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7. All right, we'll do your tease coming up next. And Joan, what is coming up in your newscast at 9?
Well, National Guard troops could be staying a whole lot longer in Washington, D.C. And there are some charges filed now in that Texas ding-dong ditch case. We've got those stories coming up here at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTF.
Thank you, Joan. 8:53, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7. DT McCall's a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans like you and me and Chris. Now, listen, if you need something for your backyard, your garage, maybe you need some indoor furniture, you got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. They have been helping out Middle Tennesseans for 3 generations. And yeah, if you need it, they've got it. How about an appliance? If you need something, they've got it. If it plugs in, not only do they have it in stock, but they've also got great specials going on to save you money. Now, all you've got to do is go to the front page of their website, dtmccalls.com. Great specials on appliances and furniture, all the best brands. Check them out, dtmccalls.com. They've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. And if you buy it, they are going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee, Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. STP, Stone Temple Pilots, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And we finally figured out the origin of this comment that I made about wood. I would love a piece of that wood. So
we had a couple people texting in to remind us what that was.
This is what I love about this audience, is because I said it and I don't remember what it was about, but
2008 on the text line, and Cass texted in and said it was about Andrew Jackson's magnolia tree being made into a mantle at the White House.
In 2008, you did that?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, the last four of one of the texters.
Oh, I got
2008.
Gotcha.
I think that was, 3-4 years ago? When was that a thing?
I have no idea.
Had to be in the last couple of years. I know that it was during the morning show, so it had to be in the last 3.5 to 4 years, almost 4 years.
It couldn't have been during Biden, could it? Because Andrew Jackson's an evil racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
They don't want to invite that evil in.
I don't know. Sam, can you Google that real quick? When were they trying to get magnolia or wood from Andrew Jackson's magnolia tree? Put a Harry D on my.
Ah!
Oh, no.
For the love of all that is holy.
Wrong button.
Yeah. Whoops.
I think we're going to talk about what you have coming up, Chris.
All right. Well, today on the show, we got a lot of moving parts. We got the president is going to have the new president of Poland at the White House today, so we'll be keeping eyes on that. We got J.D. Vance traveling to Minneapolis to pay respects to the victims of the shooting at the Annunciation Catholic Church with his wife, Usha. So we'll be keeping our eyes locked on that. We'll also talk about the greatest political headline that I've ever seen in my life.
What was it?
Politico put it out. It's a Trump denies he's dead.
That's awesome.
All that and more. Plus, there was an Epstein doc drop, and a lot of people are underwhelmed, to say the least.
34,000 documents and nothing there.
Well, and the worst part is the way that they drop them. You can't really search these things at all. It's one document, one file, and it's all an image, no
they
PDFs.
They purposely made it difficult for people to call through.
100%.
Chris Hand is coming up next. I'll see you tomorrow right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.